Good morning, folks. Good afternoon, good evening, good day. Welcome to SKTV. Welcome to today's edition. Welcome to the show. Today we have a total different approach and view as you've seen on SKTV that we are finally going to be launching the new, more like debate conversation, as you want to term it. And we've been looking into having members from the different political parties or representations to show face and showcase for their party and so forth. So please, let's share the show, guys, as you're joining us today, this Sunday. Let's share the show. We have representation here from the CDC. You would have thought it would be the opposition running to this conversation or this time of making the case, but we do have representation from the CDC already here. This is to tell you that the CDC is not playing. They're not taking anything for joke. They're not taking snake for pet. They're very serious. They're owning money, and they're ready. They are ready to go. Today we'll be taking into consideration the rescue team. We'll be also talking about the fixer or fixing team, which is Team Cummings in the upcoming convention. The CPP, we'll be discussing them. We'll also be talking about the CDC at large, considering other political actors and political players in the country. We're squeezing Tawan Gongo as well into this conversation. We anticipate a friendly, kind conversation, but you never know on SKTV. You can't be too sure about what can happen, because in the middle of the show, there could be some breaking news. There could be some serious thing that will happen. So hey, you never know what to expect on SKTV. But what I'm for sure about is the fact that regardless of what you get on SKTV, you will have a good time. That is a fact. That's something I can guarantee. I know Sekou is in the back and they're getting ready. But really quick, just before we get to the musical break here, bring in our brother from the CDC so that we can start the conversation. We have other news, a lot of things happening. There are a lot of things that are happening. This week coming up on SKTV, we want to let you know that keep your gadgets close to you. We could have some serious emergency shows, because we are informed that there will be lots of public statements. So don't be surprised. There will be lots of public statements made. We're informed that you could hear from the Costa side, you could hear from the Benana Ure side, you could hear from the Liberty Party side. I think Chairman Musa Belede already posted that he will be speaking to the nation in a couple of hours. There was not a time frame allocated for that. Couple of hours could mean, hey, couple of days. So couple of hours is couple of hours, right? But you will be hearing from a lot of people. But most importantly, on the 13th, we'll be hearing from the CPP. The CPP we're told, will be somewhere in Ganta. The 13th is on this coming Friday. We'll be somewhere in Ganta, Nemakante. I'm told there will be lots of GB. That's what we're told. They've invited even seditionists to go and swallow. So it will not be easy. Yeah, it will not be easy. They invited sedition to go and swallow. They've invited the entire world, the entire nation. And we're working to ensure that if the contract with SKTV, we're going to relay the program from this end. So we're still in a preliminary conversational stage of this whole thing. So please stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted as we come to a final agreement here, if we relay the program or not. But a lot of things going to be happening. About 2 weeks ago, a Friday ago, we saw rescue team in Monrovia, where rescue 2 was announced. We're looking forward to the fixer. We're hearing different news from the Yombly Kanga Lawrence side. We're also hearing from the Liberty Party side. We're also seeing reactions from the Unity Party side, which is very interesting. The politics has started. But guys, let's share the show. Yes, my name Talenton. What's up, bro? What's up, Dano? What's up, brother? Let's share the show, please. As you're joining us, let's share the show again. The conversation today, we anticipate a very, 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 very spirited, I don't want to say heated, educational, informative conversation with our brothers or sisters that would be joining us at some point here. Let's share the show, please. We are asking you to please share the show. Don't be shy. You will not die if you share the show. The political leader will not excommunicate you or take you from the party if you share the show. You'll be just fine. Share the show, please. Help us, please, to share the show. That's how we get the message across, That's how we get the conversation going. We have no other way of getting this conversation going. But again, today's Sunday. Happy pre-Mother's Day for some. To some, they're celebrating the Mother's Day today. Happy Mother's Day to most of the mothers out here, or all of the mothers, please. Happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day to you, and happy Mother's Day to you. Let's please share the show as you're joining. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for taking all the nonsense from we Adam genders. Please, thank you. On behalf of the Adam gender, please don't mind Hakimi. Hakimi set trap for all the Adam gender, but that trap there, it can't hold, my people. It can't hold. That Hakimi guy, we've been having series of meetings to get that whole yo-yo you want to bring between us and the Eve gender. Eve gender, we're begging you, forgive. Or that Hakimi guy not know what's going on. Hakimi not know what's going on. He does not know what's going on. He wanted to betray the struggle. But we have finally fixed and rescued the struggle. We have fixed and rescued the struggle. Peter Hakimi wanted to sell our brother. That's big try Hakimi said for us. So the Eve gender, you're sorry. You forgive us. Nobody to listen to Hakimi. Hakimi movement is dead upon arrival. Yeah, nobody's stupid yet. Nobody's stupid yet. But anyways, guys, let's share the show, please, so that we can get to the musical break. Like I said, in other news, there will be a lot of things happening. There are a lot of things happening. In other news, maybe our CDC brother, who represents CDC, can give us more details. I was looking for the president yesterday. I was looking for our president, Bagugbe. I was looking for Bagugbe. I see Bagugbe in the picture. What is going on? I said, but wait a minute. President arrived early. I know he will leave late. We already know the code. But for us to see president in the picture, in the photo, not a problem again. For us to see president in the photo, that wahala. So maybe the CDC will tell what president will hardly. Because the thing about it, president dark skin. So anywhere president is, he will show. Especially when you put dark color among light skin or white people, you good. You good. But we couldn't see president. So right now, as I speak to you, we are concerned. We didn't see president in the picture. We are concerned. We, the concerned citizens, as member of the Concerned Citizen Association, we have to know where our president is and what's going on. We have to know. And we have to know what president need on certain part of the list and president need on certain part of the list. What is going on? President Manas Party mother day or the mother month. President Manas Party for all. We're begging. The president Manas Party for all. The president Manas Party for us. We're begging. So my people, the people that who doing their Hakimi business or whatever it is, you're sorry, yeah. Me and Seku our hand inside. I know a couple of our men that went to the meeting. They're not in Hakimi business. So begging you, my people. You forgive that Hakimi boy. You forgive him. His movement is dead upon arrival, and that's it. Hakimi movement is there upon arrival. It's there upon arrival. So we're begging all the women on earth, whether you are black, you are white, you are Liberian, we beg you, forgive us. That one our gender decided to misbehave, but we put him in a place. We had a meeting with him, man to man, we put him in a place that you need to behave. You need to behave. And go take all that cash and put it somewhere. And put it somewhere will be vivid, the people can say. Where will be vivid, one can see vis-a-vis. But anyways, guys, we don't want to take too much of your time here. Let's share the show, please. Let's share the show. We will be getting into our musical break here really quick. In other news, we couldn't find the president in England, so we don't know what's going on. We couldn't find our president in England. We don't know what's going on. So I don't know. So nobody should ask me where's our president. I'm as clueless as you are. So we're begging you, if you see our president, you'll let us know where our president is. We, the concerned citizens, we are looking for him. We're looking for our president, our black president. We're looking for him. Maybe Prince Sherry and other people can tell us where's our president. But anyways, let's get to the musical break really quick because we have a lot to cover, a lot to discuss. Let's get to the musical break really quick. And I want to say thanks to our guests from CDC. My people, you've been making plans with CDC, but CDC is prompt, ready. The representative is on time. No, the way I look at things, you're not careful. Liberty Party will be leaning towards CDC. What? No, the men are on time. What? No, Jaha President can be on time for event. I swear to God, man, on time. But anyway, let's get to the musical break. Well, congratulate the plus CDC do what we're talking. I'm taking your ear. The test that everything will criticize the government on time when I was talking. The government on time. But while we are doing that, because our women month, and right now the hottest politician in Labrador. Whether you like it or not, right now, the hottest politician in Labrador. That goes there. Senator John Kanga Lawrence. That only that the hottest woman right now, but the hottest politician. Yeah. All the men are going there. All the men, the papa, the young boy, all of them are going there. So, was it that you will be leading the musical aspect of the show? So let's get to some Bozede song. Even CDC can dance to this song. And so they're not jealous of this song yet. Even CDC can dance to this song. So let's get to Bozede. Yeah, let's see what she say. We will no copyright to this song.
Yo
Well, you know, folks, as we are waiting, I think our guest went out, but he will be back. We also got signals from someone from the ANC that will be joining us as well into this conversation. The ANC CPP will be joining us. That's in person of Duke. He will be joining us as well. Hey, folks, you know, this morning I woke up, I got a call from one of my brothers and my childhood friend. We both played for Grand Basel in the county meet. And he says to me, my man, he spoke Basel to me. He said, in Basel, what he said, well, you don't even know that today I tell you, I can almost say Basel. You don't even know that other way. But anyway, we there. He said, my man, where is supposed to be in the whole thing? So I said to him in English, I said, my man, was it a red line? And the biggest Jew in the whole town. He started laughing. I said, was it a big Jew? Was it a big Jew? All the people that want to talk. Political thought, funny thing. That political thought. I said, was it a big Jew right now? All the political men, that political thought they want to put. You gave President Trump, we are saying, you want to put political thought, so President join, but I scared. But anyway, folks, welcome to the show. As always, we'd like to welcome you to SK TV. Welcome to today's edition. Today is the 7th of May 2023. Time check here is 11:31 a.m. I believe it's 2:31 p.m. on the East Coast. Midwest is 1:31 a.m. I stand to be corrected. Either ways, we are here. Either way we put this, we are here. We want to say thank you for joining us. Let's share the show. Let's continue to please share the show. We got someone watching from Uganda. That's very, very good. Uganda, Kampala, Uganda. Well, let's share the show, folks. As always, the Liberian people are the most important people on earth. But most importantly, the Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth. That is a fact. Let's see if our friend, our brother can debate that fact. Mr. James Johnson, my man, you smiling. I said, Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth. You smiling. What is going on? What do you know that I don't know?
No, I have no objection to that proposition. I think I would like to agree with you, humbly agree with you.
You see, the thing is, The thing about the people from CDC, they understand mandate. Whether that political mandate or that social mandate, understand mandate. You guys already agree?
It speaks to diversity. I mean,
Well, no, welcome to the show. It's good having you. Could you please introduce yourself, really quick summary of who you are, so that the Liberian people from the diaspora and some who are in Liberia who do not know you can get to know you as well.
Well, the name is James Johnson. I am a young Liberian who resides in Broville City, and Broville is outside the nation's capital. I'm an unrepentant and BAFTA's member of the Blue Revolution, that is the mighty Coalition for Democratic Change. Someone who passionately believes in Liberia's forward march, and I think President Weah is on that right trajectory. So we're very humbled when we are invited to this kind of conversation to discuss, issues of pertinent national interests. So we are great to be on SKTV. We anticipate healthy conversation where we exchange ideas that will be geared towards the forward march of our country. So it's great being on your platform. And like me say, high up to all of those who are following, whether in Liberia or in the diaspora. It's a great opportunity to talk about Mama Liberia. So we are grateful to be here.
Wonderful. We'd like to quickly invite Mr. Sekou Kane. Mr. Kane, how are you? Welcome to this edition, the beginning of the debate, a great debate here, or the great conversation, however you want to term it, to our audience here. Welcome. What's going on? How's your Sunday? What's new and what's up? What do you anticipate?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, depending where you are. And I want to say welcome to SKTV, our brother James Johnson from the CDC. And I like his introduction, unrepentant member of the Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change.
So,
and I like that, and I look forward to having a very healthy conversation. So, I mean, we are grateful. I just want to make a few announcements before we start. We made a public announcement, and some people reached out since last week. And they told us they're going to say representation. Some people did not. So if you are not represented here to be a part of this edition called The Big Debate on SKTV, we are messing up, but we are not responsible for you not being here because this was public announcement. And don't get me wrong, if you are not here today, you can be here next week. And whoever you send here represents you. They don't have to be party officials. They don't have to be government officials. They don't have to be hierarchies from your party. It could be anybody. As long as you think the person can make the case for your party. So, Unity Party, I spoke with George Lobo not too long ago. They might send somebody, and they say if not today, they will try to make sure they make it to the next edition on SKTV to participate in the big debate. But again, I want to say thank you to everybody for following. Okay, I'm not sure whether Duke is representing ANC or CPP. So
I think I two of them.
If Duke gonna be speaking for both CPP and ANC, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add CPP to his name, so that way people will know who this guy is. Yeah, because we don't want nobody here to go SKTV now. People say, oh, we here for SKTV. We gotta hear from the people there that the party
Sekou, you want to put me in a situation I can handle again? How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, so I just want to add that. And
Sure.
CPP. All right, Duke is CPP, and Mr. James Johnson here is CDC. Sekou is SKTV, and Steve is SKTV. If If we are being neutral, we'll be more neutral today. If we never be neutral in your mind, we will be more than neutral today because we're not going to side with anybody. We will ask the tough question. It's up to people who are here to give clear picture or good image of their party to do well for themselves. So yes, share the show. The anticipation today is high. I know the kind of call being having or behind the back, how people, really look forward to this conversation. Unfortunately, today we're having problem with the radio in Liberia, Truth FM. As a matter of fact, we are working on extending our reach. We're trying to work with more radio station so that if one radio station is off or having some technical issues, so we don't want to deprive the Liberian people from listening to SKTV. The calls I'm getting because a lot of people can't afford, data in Liberia. So they take advantage of the radio station and listen to us on the radio. But now that the radio, we are having some technical problem from the radio. Anybody in Liberia or any part of the world, please just be patient. You can go to YouTube through your TV if you got internet on your TV. If not, then you have to be on the Facebook page. We have SKTV and SKTV Live. And I think the brother from the CDC were having some internet problem. I believe he's going to be back as soon as possible. But yes, Steve, it's great to be here. Hopefully, those people who are not here, the parties that are not here yet, they might come. Or if they can't make it today, they will be here. The kind of thing when it starts, some people get me scared. They don't even know how it's going to look like. So, and maybe they want to sit in the back and watch how the whole thing unfold, and then later on they can come. James, can you hear me? Looks like that we have an internet problem in Liberia again. James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, my man, you representing the ruling party. That your internet business, it should not be an issue today. Just make sure because you sort of have the yeah. You sort of have
I have problem with some interference will call, but that has been.
Okay. So what you do if you are using your phone, you can put it on do not disturb, so that way no call will interrupt.
Sure. Yeah.
You did already.
Okay. Sure.
So Steve.
Yeah, let's have Duke introduce himself shortly for those who don't know him, and then we'll get into the conversation and get the ball rolling. Duke, it's up to you there.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks, Seiko. It's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to be on SKTV. I call it a premier platform, a platform that continues to set the standard in terms of addressing the issues impacting Liberia. The only platform I believe that's left without any kind of controversy. You guys have actually done your best in ensuring that Liberian people get the kind of quality information. So it's always an opportunity, a blessing to be on this platform. Well, my name is Duke. Some of you know me from social media. I've been, really passionate about the issues impacting Liberia. Mr. Cummings clearly is my candidate. Support the ANC, the CPP. Outside of that, I'm a father. I'm a passionate individual. I really do care about the future of Liberia and young people as well. In my personal life, I have more than 15 years in finance, investment banking. I actually have, a background in computer engineering, computational science, and business, and concluding, my MBA in STEM business as well. But in addition to that, I look forward to being on here, and hopefully, we can be able to drop some knowledge and see how best we can, shift the conversation.
Thank you, Duke. Folks, if you're just joining us, let's share the show, please.
Steve, before you continue, I have a question for Duke. In his introductory comment, he said, "I heard I'm a father, and I didn't hear I'm a husband because this guy here, they have some guy like that will come on the show here with all these beautiful people that are around here, man. When they say he's a father, he didn't say I'm a husband or something, man. Don't put any situation here. So, but anyway, I just trying to throw some humor in there.
Thank
but,
you, Seiko. I know what you're trying to do, man.
Yeah. So Steve, back to you.
Yeah. So, well, folks, let's share the show, please, as we're about to get into the conversation. Let's we'll give the ruling party the perfect opportunity here. Most recently, we heard from the president, the beginning of this year, in his State of the Nation address. Just to paraphrase it, the president claims that the state of the nation is stable, is paraphrasing good, is safe, and everything seemed to be working well in the country. However, on the contrary, after that statement, we did see a total rebuttal, a total different view from the representative of the United States government in Liberia, who is of no party, because, and I say this to say that he's not from ANC, he's not from LP, ALP, or anywhere. Rather, he is a neutral party. And when I say neutral party, I mean neutral party, because most recently, the CDC passed also the Millennium Challenges under his observation or his watch as well. What do you say with those conflicting statements to the word and to the Liberian? The president says one thing, the referee says another thing. What do you say? What are the facts?
Well, I think it is not an intelligent way to describe the president's State of the Nation address as representing the affairs of the state as being holistically excellent. I think, consistent with the president's constitutional mandate, the president has to report to the Liberian people through the national legislature. And in consonance of that mandate, the president describes succinctly what the affairs of the state was. But if you read the president's speech was not bereft of outlining some of the challenges. So the president's speech did not say that all was absolutely excellent and well. The president underscored challenges throughout his speech, as he delivered the State of the Nation address. So I see no contradiction. I think the United States ambassador assigned to Monrovia assessment of issues, particularly the health sector, as part of the routine diplomatic engagement. Okay, we may not totally agree with the medium, and to some extent, how he may have exaggerated some of the findings through his assessment tool. But I don't see contradiction, because the president's State of the Nation address outlines some challenges, as well as a highlighted gains made over the 5 years period. So there are two different things. So to say that the president presented a picture that all was excellently well, and the ambassador's statement contradicted the president's speech, would not be an intelligent way to look at the two issues. So we can say, okay, some of the issues, did the president speak up of a perfect health care delivery system in the State of the Nation address, the most immediate one that the president delivered, and then the ambassador's statement contract, then we can look at that. But I wouldn't want to say the president presented an excellent picture of what the State of the Nation was. The president said, yes, the State of the Nation was stable, which is irrefutable. And he said that the country macroeconomic stability was sound and that we were on the trajectory. But as you read the president's speech, it also characterized the president being very, very honest, outlining some of the challenges that his government, faced when he inherited from the United Party and continues to face.
Thank you. Just before we pivot to Duke, let me, for the record's sake, let me read it exactly verbatim here. And I want to read a summary or the last paragraph of what our President George had told us, which I think will lay the context for this conversation. And I want to thank you for your point here. Here is it. Here's a paragraph. Here are one or two paragraphs here. We will be coming, quote, we'll be coming to meet you in your towns, in your villages, and in your districts, and in your clans, and in your cities, so that together we can build a stronger partnership for Liberia's progress. But as you can see from all that has been said today, we have done our part, delivering on most of the promises we made you, while preserving the nation's peace, nurturing its democratic value. We are on an irreversible trajectory of sustainable growth that will necessarily and inevitably lead us to progress as a nation and prosperity as a people. Would you say the country is on a progressive trajectory based on what was reported by the U.S. ambassador from almost all of the counties in Liberia? Would you say that?
First, I think the president, made a comprehensive speech. The ambassador's assessment took on aspect of the affairs of the state. So again, I don't want to equate the president's, deliverable with respect to the State of the Nation address to the particularity of the issue raised by the ambassador. It could be a subset. But the government, as you're aware, the government did do a rebuttal to the ambassador's assessment. The government acknowledged that there were challenges, but again, in that rebuttal, the government introduced some of the facts that the ambassador may not have, I think, probably ascertaining from his own assessment without, trying to.
We got him. We have issues, technical issues. I hope he gets back really quick as we will pivot to Duke. We'll pivot to Duke really quick. When he gets back, we'll give him a few seconds here to conclude on what he was saying so that we can move forward into the conversation. But he's having some technical issues. Are you there?
Sure, I'm there, yeah.
Yeah, can you please conclude so that we can move quickly to Duke?
Yeah, so like I was saying, Steve, the ambassador's statement was reported by the government. The government provided the facts because one of the issues raised by the ambassador, and in fact, if you look at the ambassador's assessment was attempting not to only cast the burden of aspirations on the executive, but to also look at the courageous attempt from the national legislature in terms of what public expenditure would be like, whether public expenditure would be focusing only on the welfare of the legislature or will, transcend to the people. But as a government, the executive branch responded. If you look at the finance ministry provided, facts to show that there were allotments that were made available to those, healthcare centers or health facilities that the ambassador questioned through his assessment. So the government did a rebuttal to that, provided the facts. So again, healthcare delivery in Liberia has been an old age challenge. It remains a challenge. But as to whether this government has not demonstrated, attempts to solving that problem is a different debate. We can look at that. And as we look at that, we'll be able to show you that the George Weah-led administration of what they inherited 2018 to now, what has it done in terms of healthcare infrastructure investment, in terms of human resource capacity building in the health sector, which are quite two different things from what the ambassador, may have advanced in his assessment findings that he released, for which the government adequately responded to providing the facts.
Thank you so much, James. Folks, if you're just joining, we're having this debate/conversation here with members from different political parties representing different political parties, different views. Their views are now our views on SKTV, just as a disclaimer. They're fully responsible for their views, and we'll keep down the record. We'll checkmate them as we go further. Let's pivot quickly to Duke. Duke, most recently, you were in Liberia as of most recent.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
What would you say about the assessment of the ambassador as opposed to what President George Weah concluded his speech on, based on what I just read, or quoted verbatim from this speech, the last speech, State of the Nation address we just heard? What would you say? What did you experience in Liberia? What's going on? Let's give you 2 minutes here for that.
Well, Steve, first and foremost, I think it's unintelligent to state that the U.S. ambassador findings were exaggerated. You see, look, I'm not sure if these guys understand the enormity of what they're dealing with. You see the greatest country in the world. You see a seasoned ambassador, somebody who's actually built to be able to, go into details on these issues and submit something, right, that's potentially going to land in the hands of Congress. And a government that still finds, itself struggling with creating stable electricity and internet connectivity wants to question a process that's actually more detailed and a lot more sophisticated than what it is able to deal with. I also believe that it is unintelligent to suggest that we should take with a grain of salt the government's response to the ambassador address. That's like saying the ones who are guilty, we should believe their statements, right, and ignore the neutral, conversation, or the neutral recommendations submitted by the U.S. ambassador. But anyway, Steve, I was in Liberia, and not just Monrovia. I toured several counties. I was able to interact with people. Liberia is not a strange place to us. We're comfortable in that environment, and so we understand. So I engaged our people as an ordinary Liberian, and I looked at the challenges from a professional perspective, right? Macroeconomic perspective. And the country is heading to a major state of decline. And I think where we are in Liberia, and I know if you have the time, some of you, I want you to read the book called The Bottom Billions. I think we're at the point where if we're not careful, we're moving into another potential civil conflict. And guess what? One of the biggest threats to national security in the country has to do with the disadvantaged youth. It seems like every pocket in Liberia has got some network of disadvantaged youth. And this is not in the urban, this is the rural area as well. So that's one of the key challenges as well. Now, back to the ambassador's statement, and I will go a little bit more during the conversation into things that I observed. What the ambassador highlighted are things that all of us are familiar with. The only difference is that we have an independent source that took the time and followed a blueprint, attempted to go across the country and assess, right, those key things that he made reference to. When I got in the country, from the very first day I got in the country, I knew that there was something missing. It seems like the entire country is running itself. There's no structure. Those key components that make up a society in terms of governance are lacking. And it just seemed that the wealth of the country, the coffers of the country, are just only there to appease few individuals, and that's about it, right? So a personal bank for certain government officials. But the U.S. ambassador's right. I was actually on Red Power FM discussing the same issue when Akaras Gray went on radio and talked and said a bunch of nothing as well. Steve, it is not, it is not false when the U.S. ambassador referenced the issue of, involving our hospitals, right? Wherein monies that were said that were allocated in the budget did not reach the various hospitals, right? Those monies were taken. It is not a lie when the American ambassador speaks of the challenging economic issues in the country. It is visible, it's evident. You go in the country now, those who are taking care of our economy are foreigners, right? The locals, they are struggling. People are barely making it in that country. So I'm not sure what in that report was exaggerated, but truthfully speaking, the country is in dire needs of some kind of resuscitation, and the most of the blame will be put on the government because I don't think they understand the enormity of the issue, and those are the things that we're actually seeing on ground.
Thank you, Duke. Thank you so much. Let's pivot to Mr. Kane. Maybe he has one or two questions to ask. And guys, please, folks, if you're just joining us, help us to share the show. We will allocate 1 minute to each person to answer this question, and most 1 minute 30 seconds, so that we can have more questions, put in here. And if you have any question, we're also following the live feed that you would like to ask. We'll shift through this question and see if we can pick up 1 or 2 questions from the viewers, just to throw in there so that they can answer it. But Mr. Kane, just before we pivot to the opposition here, or maybe come back to the government here, do you have any question for both men representing the political parties or leaders here? What do you say? Question.
I do. First of all, I want to say thank you, a big thank you to the gentleman on here. And I foresee a very brilliant conversation. And I don't know about other political parties, but the two gentlemen on here today, they are both brilliant and very, very eloquent. So I'm loving the debate already. Unlike Steve, I am not going to go on to policy issue right now. This is election time. And my interest is in election. Yeah, I'm interested in election. First, this question is for both of you, but I'm going to start with James. James, do you think the CDC will be re-elected? President Weah will be re-elected, and why? I'll go to you first.
Well, it was my thinking that we would have exhaustively dealt with the comparative analysis on ambassador spend vis-a-vis the president's State of the Nation address. But I'd like to still maintain that
you can answer my question. You can answer my question, and you still have something to add to your previous comment. That's fine. You can also flow after answering my question.
Great.
Yeah.
You see, our country will be at a critical juncture in October of 2023. Liberians will be faced with three decisions. Liberians will be faced with the decision of continuity, the decision of relapse, and the decision of uncertainty. These three spheres of decisions are reflective in, quote unquote, the major political actors or political institutions. The Coalition for Democratic Change, which is the ruling party, represents the decision of continuity. The Unity Party represents the decision of relapse. And the Collaborating Political Party, or the CPP, represents the decision of uncertainty. Given those three-dimensional decisions, Liberian will be making in October, I think the decision of continuity will be the most intelligent decision to make. And given where we've come from 2018 to now, almost 6 years, given the plethora of gains and achievements that have been engendered under the Weah-led administration, we think it is just prudent enough to give President Weah another 6 years, to consummate some of these tremendous development, he has rolled out on 6 years. And these developments cut across in different sectors. We can talk about the reform policies in the economy, where we took a from 2018 to where we now. We can talk about road infrastructure investment and development. We can talk about healthcare investment. We can talk about educational reform policies. We can talk about, the environment created for the free press and the rule of law. So when all of these things are collectively looked at and viewed, we think that the decision of continuity is the best. And maybe we can further elaborate on these different spectrum of issues I've elevated. Let's look at the economy, for example. Prior to 2018, before the inauguration of President Weah, the intervening years to President Weah ascendancy from 2016 to 2018, many persons thought that by 2018, we would have the government succeeding President Salif would have inherited a sound and strong, stable macroeconomic. But it appears that between 2016 to 2018, there was a form of pseudo macroeconomic stability. What do I mean? In that period of time, the United Nations Mission to Liberia, whose investment into the Liberian economy accounted for 60% of the country's GDP, was one and dying. The prices of iron ore, Liberia's older traditional extractive source of revenue, had declined more than 50%. At that same point in time, the government who was then living had given tax breaks to major companies. Ebola has shattered the economy such that major companies were having deep dip in their incomes and they were closing down. President Weah inherited an economy such that just by 2018, inflation had picked up to 30%. Our economic growth was in negative decline. Such was the situation. Over billions of dollars were being unscrupulously injected into the economy, which became a viable source to influence the rise of inflation. 2018 to 2019 were disastrous years for our economy. But with the prudent economic reforms, both on the fiscal and monetary fronts, that were engendered by this government today, like the president articulated in his last State of the Nation address, we can say that Liberia is on a sound trajectory of economic reform. If you look at the latest World Bank release on local Liberian economy, it says by last year, the Liberian economy grew by 4.8%, which agriculture and the mining sectors accounted for that 4.8%. So if you look at when we inherited 2018 with 1.6% of growth and then 4.8 expansion by 2022, we can say it is because of the prudent economic measures and reforms that this government took over the intervening years to get where we are today. We can boast that inflation, right? We beat inflation from double-digit 30% to today 7.6%. In fact, in 2021, the World Bank reported inflation at 7.8%. So there is a slowdown to 7.6%. We can also say that not only on the fiscal front, on the monetary front, there has been a lot of reform at the central bank. We've taken interest rate from 30% to 15%, which remains a major stimulus for small, medium, enterprise businesses to be stimulated. Today, the central bank.
So, let me say this. First of all, I would have loved you to answer my question. Then
but you asked why the president should be re-elected.
No, I didn't say why he should be elected. I asked you, do you think the president will be re-elected and why? Yes, you never say yes or no. You wouldn't go.
I mean, it's a hypothetical resounding yes. That was the fact that I represent the coalition of Democrats.
Okay, so
James, please hold on. We're operating in a time constrained space. We like the argument that you're making, but we'd please love for you to please summarize it so that we can have more questions to ask you, because some of the things you've just enumerated here, in all honesty, on SKTV, we do fact checks. Don't add up. Sorry to say, don't make any sense, because if you say all of this growth and all of these things, why is it that up until now, workers are not being paid? Some workers are not being paid. Hold on, please hold on.
Okay.
If you say all of this increases, why did we have budget shortfalls? If you are saying all of these good things are happening from an economic perspective, then the question becomes, why is it that the common Liberian man, the everyday man, everyday Liberian women are not feeling this impact or growth of the economy that you are projecting to the Liberian people here? Why? Is it theoretical?
So let me deal with the latter myth and falsehood. You see, there's a tendency for people to just gloss over the appreciable facts. Let me challenge you. The governor of Liberia doesn't owe Silver 7. That's one of the myths parading. The government of Liberia doesn't owe Silver 7 for 2 months. What is happening? The government of Liberia is paying Silver 7 as you speak for month ended April. As you speak, the government is paying Silver 7 for month ended April. So you can also check that fact, right? So it is a gross misrepresentation of the facts when people throw away in the garbage and the dustbin the facts, and we want to, go in bed with fallacies and myth. You can also check that. So when you say I am just making up stories, right? But when people say, for example, when people evoke reports that are coming from multilateral institutions that say that the government is not doing well or the government is being challenged in other sectors, our critics hold to their chest those reports. But when we also reference those same reports that catapult the government's image of moving on a positive trajectory, critics say, no, do not go to the report. Don't say I'm not the one saying the 2022 economic outlook from the World Bank says the economy expanded by 4.8%. I'm not the one saying that inflation is at 7.6%. Read the IMF report. I'm not the one saying that the central bank has brought remarkable reform to the extent that the central bank just won an award of the best banknote series. It's been nominated to win an award for the best coin series. It's not James Johnson. These are unimpeachable reports. And it's also not true to say these reports are not reflecting to the ordinariness of the Liberian people. It's because we've contained inflation, okay? And some of the policies we've rolled out, that the basic prices of commodities in terms of the consumption basket for Liberians have not jumped so high. It's because we've maintained the exchange rate for 2 years, that the price of, for example, a scratch card in Liberia has not gone beyond 180 Liberian dollars. Okay, it's because of that the price of gasoline except that when the peak of the Russian, Ukraine crisis hit, has not gone beyond $700 Liberian. So when you say that these statistics,
Thank you, James.
that assist the ordinary people, is because we reduced the price of electricity from 35 cents per kilowatt to 50 cents per kilowatt, that have created more people in terms of access to electricity grade. It's not Jim Johnson. These things are here, and maybe because my friend Duke, who want to maximize force, he wouldn't want to acknowledge that when he was in Liberia, these things were being seen. Duke saw the roads.
Thank you, Duke.
Duke saw the roads that have been built. He seen the roads from here to real life. He's seen the means being created for EFC to Ramos International Airport. I mentioned it because Duke was in the country 2 months ago. Okay, so these economic statistics correlate with what is happening on the ground.
Duke, please.
So who managed to say that we are just speaking numbers and these numbers do not relate to the people's welfare?
Okay? Thank you, James. Thank you, James.
I'm not done with the economy. We didn't look at what the reform the government had done in health, investment, education.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that part. But please, let's allow Duke. Let's allocate Duke 1 minute 30 seconds.
Steve, I think it is my turn to ask my question.
So
if the answer my question and then I'm satisfied, I will talk. If then we'll go.
I answer your question partially because of time constraint.
Because Steve saw, into the show and try to take me some of the things you're saying. He took over, he did everything for he's supposed to do for himself. Then he took over mine too. So
sorry, I tell it back to you.
I watch you.
I beg you, I tell it back to you. I'm sorry.
So yeah, no, it's okay. So Jim, I think you are making the case, and I think you answer my question. But on this particular segment, this particular edition of the big debate, I am not interested in actually challenging or some of the assessment of some of the reporting from the political parties. Liberian people are not stupid.
No, these are not political parties' assessment. These are equality unimpeachable.
Let's. I mean, I'd like to be serious from here.
I'm going to get to you. I'm going to get to you. Yeah. I'm going to get to you. Let me just finish what I was saying here. So yes, when you come and say anything, like Steve rightly said, if these things were the way they are, as presented by Mr. James Johnson here, Liberian people will tell us, we will know come October 10. So sure. I'm not here because a lot of people are feeling it. They are feeling the growth. They are feeling the the inflation control. They are feeling the growth in our economy. Everything, life is so good in Liberia. We will know.
No. So
I
said life is so good.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, whatever other things you see are very good things.
Yeah, but there are challenges. There are challenges.
And should we hold those things at face value and many things are good in Liberia? Let me go to you. Like I say, I'm not here today to say the government do not do they want me. My focus is not on the election. So maybe in answering my question, you can pivot to respond to some of the things that you heard from Mr. Johnson. But I'm going to ask you, Duke, you just came from Liberia. This is election time. They say it must be elected before you govern. But many are saying it looks like CPP or ANC or Mr. Cummings and people is so focused on how they're going to govern the country without being elected. So what is the prospect of Cummings being elected? You just been to Liberia, giving your honest assessment of what you saw on the ground. You think Cummings is going to be elected, and how?
Listen to me. Two things surprised me. Number one, the issue of roads and the so-called debate about Cummings' popularity. Okay. Let me tell you about the roads. I have to go for an appointment on Monday because my side hurts real bad. That country, one of the biggest surprise. I'm being serious. I'm not being political. I'm being truthful. One of the things that I was really concerned about being here with the propaganda that CDC has been able to push had to do with road connectivity. And honestly, I thought the people have probably bought into it and they were really doing a good job of road connectivity. Sekou, this is not me being political. This is me being patriotic or Liberian. I was disappointed. Everywhere you go in Liberia, the roads are terrible. Even in front of the president's house. I passed several times in front of the rehab area of the president's house, coming from Renaissance and going back home. The roads are terrible. I drove from Hotel Africa straight to Uptown, Broad Street. I'm telling you, that whole MP and National Port Authority area, the roads are so bad. Look, Sekou, it is so terrible. You're in the car. There's this vibration because of the. I'm telling you, I'm giving you, I'm being descriptive. And it makes you sick inside. I had to tell the driver to park and get me coconut water because I just wanted to drink something, right? That sickness. It is bad. So the whole thing about the road is a disaster. So I'm not sure what he's talking, but this is what we call propaganda versus reality. In terms of Mr. Cummings, one of the things that's been circulated on social media so frequently, nobody know Cummings, he's not popular, he's not the person people looking at. All that thing is fallacy. I went communities to communities, door to door. The only thing that's consistent that people will tell you that they've been frustrated with how the opposition's been able to handle things, but they're even more upset at the government of Liberia. Steve, if elections are held today, the Liberian people are willing to remove George Weah. This is not a joke. I stood in Douala Market, Rela Market. I campaigned, I knocked from stores to stores and spoke to people privately and publicly. The government is unpopular. They're booing government officials in these markets. There's a video I have in my possession. I will send to SKTV as well. They are unpopular. Look, the people have accepted that George Weah is an absolute failure. The only thing they're waiting for is election day, right? To go to the polling station. I was in Bond County when they kick off voter registration. The amount of people I saw waiting outside the polling station, they had stayed in line for hours. They were not going away until they registered to vote. You know why? Because they wanted to make sure that they have the opportunity to remove this government. So it is laughable when it comes to propaganda. Now, let me come to, I'm not sure, this thing, the young brother's talking here. Steve, I've worked in America in several complex economic conditions here. I've did through the market crash, the COVID, and all of those things. One of the things that drives this country comes from policies, and I saw how things impacted the financial sector and what the responses were. Economically speaking, Liberia is in a terrible shape. I'm not sure what growth they're projecting or they're supporting in terms of documentation, but the reality on the ground shows that economy is tanking. Let me tell you this, Steve, the basic things that we buy here are more expensive in Liberia. Let me be honest with you. Food, expensive in Liberia. Very expensive in Liberia. You understand me? Haircut, expensive in Liberia. You understand me? The ordinary people are finding it hard to buy, to even find food to eat, to even find a meal to put on the table.
All right, okay, Duke. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
You are outlining some of the challenges or major challenges that we face with as a country, and you said Liberian people are ready to vote against George Weah, to remove George Weah.
Right.
My question to you was, since you are from the CPP, the ANC, so CPP by extension,
Absolutely.
Mr. Alexander Cummings, do you think Cummings is going to win? And
Absolutely.
based on your assessment on the ground, because it's one thing to say you want to remove George Weah, but who don't want to replace him with?
Yeah.
People from the other end, from the CPP, like from the Unity Party, and they are saying Liberian people are resolved. Liberian people have made up their mind. As a matter of fact, DNB is the next president. You being on the ground from realistic assessment, do you think Cummings can win the election October 10th?
I know Cummings will win the election. You want to know why?
Why?
I assess the various structures and the strategies of the CPP across the county. The ANC, the CPP have the most in terms of structures than any political party. Now, all political parties have their own challenges. But when you go into those areas, visibility, right, in terms of structure, the ANC, the CPP, they are in those different areas, those key areas. We call them the big six, right? And and one thing they've been doing, that a lot of people have not been paying attention. The CPP, ANC, they have actually invested resources in the mobilization efforts. They have been the only political party in the opposition that I see that have actually been doing a good job when it comes to mobilization. So I believe that. Another thing that I believe gives Mr. Cummings an opportunity. I think Mr. Cummings is building a coalition of people that are going to be vital towards his bid for the presidency. He has built sufficient relationships, and I think some of those relationships will be made public right after the convention in Ganta, and you guys will start to see. Look, Sekou, I became even more confident after my visit to Liberia that Mr. Cummings is going to pull this thing off. Before, I was a little skeptical about our processes. When I arrived in Liberia, I became a little more confident. You know why? The Liberian people are not difficult to deal with. Don't buy the noise from Facebook and what people say. Second, if you go into the market right now and you find 5 persons, the most they will tell you, like, you know what? Right now, I'm confused about who to vote for. They will not tell you start supporting the Joseph Boyka. But you know what? They'll say, but convince me and tell me who I need to vote for, why I should vote for this person. And you talk to them, they're listening. That tells me that the people are tied with the current administration. That tells me that they don't consider Joseph Boyka. This thing about Mr. Boyka being the face and being this viable candidate, it's all social media propaganda. I walked through all that country. The only people who were chanting the name of Joseph Boyka are key UP loyalists. But the ordinary Liberians will tell you that they're not going to support Joseph Boyka or Unity Party. You know what they say? They say, we're trying to remove this man here. We'll not go back to the same thing we're trying to remove. So okay. I am even more confident that Mr. Cummings is going to be elected.
Dude, thank you. Thank you. The second set of my question, again, I'm going to start with Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, in Liberia, the whole polity of base, polity of constituents, polity of stronghold, that has been the discussion. Given what we saw, since President Weah was elected, CDC, before Weah was elected, CDC stronghold used to be, or is, because I must add, it used to be or is Monserrado. After being defeated twice, massively, in Monserrado County, that's supposedly the base of the CDC. Where is the confidence coming from? That they think that they're going to win the election.
Well, I think the confidence is emanating from some of the figment of imagination that people like my friend and brother Duke has when he attempts to maximize a kind of a pseudo popularity that Mr. Comey has. But before I deal with the issue of constituency and base, it's important to sanitize, this intellectual environment, because Duke attempted to spill falsehood that I'll need to check statistically and facts. Duke comes from a sophisticated democracy where data and numbers influence policies. So when he says that Liberians can barely find food, then it means that Duke is reading the FAO latest report upside down. Read the report.
I was speaking from my experience. Am
I protected?
Hey, yo, man.
Duke, don't interrupt him. Anything you say, judge.
So what Duke wants? Duke wants us to put aside a revised report like the FAO World Bank report and take to our chest so dearly a report for a Duke. The FAO report says food prices reduced by 1.6% in Liberia, a decline. While Duke is saying food prices increased. In a school of intelligentsia, I don't know how that factors in. When you go further, the FAO released a report and listed the worst 10 countries in the world that are battling hunger and food. Read it. I can name it right there. It says Lebanon. So you go to that report, the first 10 countries are there. Liberia isn't even among the first 20. So for him to say Liberians cannot afford food, it's a misrepresentation of the fact. Okay? He talked about road. Of course, roads have been terrible in Liberia. But yet are the facts that Duke needs to familiarize himself with. There are over 11,000 kilometers of road network in Liberia since 1847. when President Weah took over in 2018, the fact, Duke, when we took over in 2018, only 745 kilometers of the roads have been paved. So Duke now positions President Weah as being responsible for Liberia's terrible nightmare road condition. How can you be that evil? But guess what has happened? Almost 6 years, we've jumped road connectivity from 745 kilometers to impressively 1,300. The president reported that in his most recent State of Nation address. When do talk about Freeport, yes, guess what? That road that links from the Gilbert Tucker Bridge as far as coming to Broadville and going to Cape Bag, which is the Bambagida Highway, was constructed since the 1980s. There has been successive government before President Weah. But it is this government that is now rehabilitating and reconstructing the bridge-to-bridge project. Phase 1 is from the Gilbert Tucker Bridge to Freeport, and phase 2 is from Freeport to Douala. After 43 years,
All right.
do road on the road. Let's say,
So Steve, let me have a chance to comment. Let me have a chance to comment. I think it's important to check this gentleman. Let's go.
Do please give me a chance, and we will get to you.
Let me deal with
It's important that we fact check.
Let me deal with the fallacy about road connectivity. Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, let me say this to both of you. When we talk over each other, Duke, people will not listen to us. People are.
No, I get why Duke was speaking.
Yeah, exactly. So Duke,
he keeps interposing negatively.
Yeah, listen, it will interest our people when we just listen to each other. Let the people make the case. Mr. Johnson, from what I'm saying right now, I love your eloquence, but trust me, we hear the election. We still got about 5 months to go or so, right? We'll have time to articulate all these good things.
So you want me to go to the constituency debate and abandon the forum?
I just want every time we have the opportunity to ask questions, address my question first. If you have a rebuttal to the previous statement made by
okay. I will be magnanimous to ignore. Most of the incorrect information provided by Duke and go to the relevant question on consideration. Let's talk about constituency debate. And I heard Duke talk about Mr. Cummings, which is tied to the issue of CDC constituency vis-a-vis 2020. I'll deal with the Cummings thing first. Here is a man who in 2017 was very lucky to get 7% of the votes.
I said John Weah.
No, I can't do that. Okay, let me go to. Let's say President Weah.
Weah in the CDC lost twice now since his election.
Okay, let me get to that.
And then yet,
I understand. Yeah, I understand how.
No, I want you to talk about. I need to answer my.
I come to that. I come to that. No, yeah.
And then you can go. You can do anything else.
Let me answer that. Let me answer that.
Please.
The first thing, President Weah has been on the presidential ballot only 2 times in our country's history.
Yeah. He
was on the ballot 2005, and he was on the ballot 2017.
Yes.
I think it is very despicable disregard for facts and statistics when intelligent people who want to use by-elections to measure the president or the coalition's popularity. The president was on the ballot. This is a fact. The president was on the ballot presidential-wise 2 times, 2005 and in 2017. Since 2017, there have been no statistics to show that the president's popularity has declined. What has happened in the intervening years between 2018 to now is that the CDC, of course, admittedly lost elections, which we attributed to many factors that do not holistically show what the president's chances are to winning in 2023 in the post-October. If you look at the by-election we lost to Senator DeLong in 2020, the CDC lost those elections because of 2 broad factors. We lost the election because there were internal issues within the coalition herself, and there were issues about governance and policies. And the opposition utilized the internal issues within the coalition and policy deficit to form a united opposition front that catapult the collaborating political party originally as it was. But I can tell you that from 2020 to 2023, where we are now, there have been myriad of things that have happened that clearly indicate that President Weah is on an irreversible path of being re-elected. And I can tell you some of those things. The CDC has recalibrated and reconsolidated to the extent that after the 2020 election, you saw the CDC move in Lofa. Even though the CDC did not follow directly a candidate, the CDC indirectly supported in all visible manner Councillor Jala against the Unity Party, thanks to the remarkable work being done by sons of Lofa, such as Tifa and the rest, that saw the Unity Party derailing in her strongest hold. So if you talk about stronghold, if the CDC lost Monserrata in 2020 and the Unity Party lost Lofa in the most recent by-election, then we cannot be having constituency debate about the presidency. But Liberians will be judging, Liberians will be judging President Weah on his deliverables, because the president's deliverable are the collective metrics for which Liberians will use to elect President Weah, not performances of senator or representative candidates. So the CDC remains vibrant, strong, we remain upbeat, and we are going to use the cleavage within the opposition, the divide, to ensure that President Weah is delivered a second term on the first ballot. And it's important here that we heighten the level of this unity and this harmony within the opposition. We speak to people that
James, so basically, you believe, I want this to just yes or no, they will go to Duke.
It's a resounding yes that President Weah will be re-elected and has support.
And basically, President Weah and the CDC is stay popular and Monserrata stay the stronghold. Do you believe that?
Let me tell you a little thing. We can scroll down the memory lane of history. Monserrata has always been a hotbed of opposition for its ruling party politics. Go back as far as in the 1980s.
The stronghold of the CDC.
My statement did not suggest that. I said it has always been a hotbed. It is not representation of what you think. Monserrata remains a stronghold because it is in Monserrata. No, it is in Monserrata that students go to the university free of charge.
You will not say everything in one. You answer one question. So I know you have a lot to say. Trust me, and I'm loving.
It. So I can deal with some of those issues.
It's okay.
Listen. Go ahead.
You know, I know when Mr. Johnson spoke, you wanted to interject, but I want you to please answer my question.
Go ahead.
And then you go to, because the thing is.
But you didn't allow me to deal with Duke's issues. So I think we got to keep the questions are big.
No, gentlemen, listen, we were having a conversation with this. This is not you up palava hot conversation, my man.
But I'm not at you all.
Gentlemen,
I'm not at you all.
We're talking logic here.
Let me tell you guys this. This is just the beginning. Imagine Unity Party being here, ACO here, all the other parties there that will come, having this kind of conversation is very important. It's good. But I want us to actually go to the point and be precise so that people can just grab, your answer and make determination whether or not you are telling the truth. So Duke, the same question, and I want us to be brief in our answer, please.
Yeah, but you're giving the man whole time to talk here.
Yeah,
man. You have your time.
You get equal time.
Well, let's go ahead or something. Let me poke holes in some of those things.
No, you will not debunk because people did not allow me to report.
Gentlemen, I like the conversation, but I don't like interrupting. And when I'm talking, I want you guys to talking. I will listen. Yeah, let people enjoy the conversation.
Mr. Kane.
So, yeah.
I beg you, just before you ask Duke his question, please, for the sake of this platform, it's one thing for people to pass around, just throw numbers and just say things, because either they read partially or they believe in themselves. But it's another thing for us to fact check some of these things, because nobody coming here and just spew anything and think they can go away. No, that's not true. We're not going to have that. So what Duke has done when Duke is done, we fact check some of the things Duke says, some of the things our brother Johnson says as well before we can move any further. I just wanted for it to be.
I understand, Steve, but let me say this. Let me say this to you. This is not our normal show. When we invite people here to interview them, we will push them to the wall. We will checkmate. We will fact check. We will ask all the questions in the world. When we bring people here to have a debate, we're nobody going to beat their pepper in our mouth. We are not here to. We are not representing anybody. The person can lie and say all the. It's up to the other party to go and debunk it. That's why it's important when people let it just be brief so that we can have a lot of conversation. Everything Mr. Johnson are saying here, everything Duke is saying here, trust me, the brain people are not stupid. They are following. They are taking note and they know the facts. So I don't want us to be the one to talk for any party. People will come and make their point. The brain people will know the truth. That's why everybody should send their representative here, representative who is knowledgeable, who know exactly what they are talking about, who gets some grasp on issues. So Duke, same question. The debate has been, Commies does not have a constituents, Commies does not have a base. You just came from Liberia. Somebody will say, oh, you know, when it comes to Buakai, Lofa. When it comes to Jowea, somebody will say Southeast, oh no, somebody will say Monserrado, but Monserrado is questionable at this point. So, at least Southeast, that people can say yes, Jowea, but the number in Southeast may not be enough. However, Duke, where is Mr. Commis's constituents? Where is Mr. Commis's base for him to say, you know what, we can win this election? You just came from Liberia.
Sekou, if you can recall, there was this noise about Monserrado being the base for the CDC. Under the leadership of Mr. Commies doing the CPP, you witnessed what happened in Monserrado, right? That place that was once believed to be the Mecca of the Blue Revolution came down. What we're building in our battle of politics is nothing that you've seen before. And this is what a lot of people do not understand. Mr. Cummings' strategy in terms of the presidency in Liberia is to build a coalition of Liberians who understand the essence of his presidency. So we're building a coalition amongst young people, women, older people from every sector of the country. This is why we were able to win a major election in Monserrado County. If you look at the win of Darius Dillon in Monserrado County, it was not done just based upon who supported the ANC. It was done based upon who supported the CDC, the old man, the young boy, the young girl, whatever it is in that county. So Mr. Cummings' base is the Liberian people. And that's what we've always stated. This is why we continue to push the idea of bringing people in the big tent. This big tent takes into consideration that there are people within CDC who used to support the president of Liberia, but they understand that economically speaking, the country is in the deplorable state. There are people who are in other political parties that have some sort of affiliation to those different political institutions, but now see that the only chance that they have is in the Cummings presidency. So when you're talking about base, we're redefining that map, we're redefining that narrative, and we're creating a coalition that takes into consideration that there's a bigger picture, and we're looking at every Liberian to be part of this team.
So that means Liberia is Mr. Cummings' base. Now,
absolutely.
Okay.
And that's how we've won the election with the CPP.
I want to give you the 1 minute to debunk some of the comments made by Mr. Johnson here, because you were kind of eager to talk while he was talking.
Yeah.
And now you have the opportunity at least 1 minute to debunk, or refute some of the comments.
Sekou, when I speak from a practical standpoint. I have more than 15, 17 years in finance, banking, economics, and what have you. When I hear a gentleman being, the propaganda pusher for a political institution, you see that he's a young man that does not have the experience. And so he takes low manuscript given to him by people. But the reality shows that he's inexperienced, that he doesn't really understand the enormity of the issue. Let me tell you this. When you talk about food prices have reduced, who's buying the food? That's the key. So if you say food prices, there's a reduction in food prices. Who's paying for it? Where's this money coming from? This government has not created jobs in the private sector. I repeat, how do you grow an economy when majority of the people you hired are hired within government? How do you build an economy when the pro-poor development agenda, the so-called bogus pro-poor development agenda, has not created a single job in that country? You're talking about road connectivity and the Bambagida Highway and the Freeport? Are you kidding me? I walked across those areas. I drove across them. The only thing they've done, they have modified mediocrity. Sekou, take your time, go back Liberia and drive it. You have the same experience. What this young man is pushing is not the reality. This is something we call propaganda. There's a difference between propaganda and reality. In this case, propaganda is the reason why the George Weah economy is even worse than the Ellen Johnson economy. Due to propaganda, I can tell you today that civil servants are not being paid in that country. Our teachers are not going to teach on these campuses because, you know what, they have not been paid. Our fathers who work in that country are making harsh decisions not to go to the jobs anymore because they're spending more on gas than the salaries they're receiving from government. You want to talk about the U.S. rate? Really? You know what it takes? How expensive it is? Sekou, you change $100 United States dollars in that country. I guarantee you within hours it is finished. And you say you solve the issue of inflation? When commodity prices are high in that country, the people cannot afford. The reality shows that economically speaking, their government has poorly performed than the Ellen Johnson administration. So all these listening to fallacy. Liberia still remains one of the poorest countries in the world. Liberia still remains one of the countries that does not even have a private sector. All of these things are evident by the fact. And lastly, speaking before you can go ahead and ask another round of questions. You want to talk about the World Bank report. Look, listen to me. We know this thing. We saw China.
Just 30 seconds if you can.
Yeah, try to second quickly. Steve, Sekou, let me remind this young man. The U.S. ambassador cataloged major economic issues in that country. You think the viewpoint of the U.S. ambassador is something to joke with? The reality shows that our international partners agree with everything that we stated, that the economy is in the deplorable state, even our hospitals, even our education sector. So there's no amount of propaganda that's going to actually save this administration. And I'm telling you, based on my conversation with the people, George Weah will be a one-term president.
Thank you. Steve, back to you.
Yes, Mr. Kane, in real time, we got to quickly, just for the public, and like I agree with you, Mr. Kane, we're not making a case for anybody. We're neutral. However, we as an institution cannot also sit when we have the fact at our disposal to allow people to come and spew lies only for political gains. Whether it's, we got to speak with facts, especially when you start talking numbers. Then it triggers some things that we ourselves got to fact check and balance in real time. So to both Duke, to our brother Johnson, and to the public, let's get you some facts out there really quick before we pivot to the politics.
No, but, a minute.
Our brother Johnson, Mr. Johnson.
Mr.
Johnson.
Let me just make a point.
Mr. Johnson, you will hold on. I'm the moderator.
No, I'm not stopping you from making a point. No, I'm coming. We have to be fair here.
You will hold on. You will hold on.
No, we have to be fair. Because Sekou deny me for debunking.
You will hold on.
He allowed you to debunk what I said. So I think it's very important that I be given a time for reporter also.
Exactly.
Because when I talk to chance, but you spoke against things that I said, so you get an opportunity to talk.
Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry I had to mute you. You and Duke, I had to mute y'all. But I will give you the opportunity, 30 seconds to report Duke. But let me finish my statement, please. Let me finish my statement, Mr. Johnson. We can't do this, please. We can't do this. We want to give you the time, but please listen, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry, we want to give you the time, but please listen. Please, let me just finish my
I'm listening.
Thank you.
I'm listening.
Yes, let me finish my statement, and then we will definitely give you the time to say a word or two, to clear some things out with Duke or whatever it is. But ladies and gentlemen, please, we'll give Mr. Johnson a minute, 30 seconds. He said he has a rebuttal. Please, Mr. Johnson, please take a minute, 30 seconds, and we'll provide some of the facts based on numerical values, and we'll ask you our next set of questions.
I think the rebuttal should be 1 minute. We do 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute, Mr. Johnson.
But I don't know when Duke says it is a propaganda when it is evident by tangible and pictorials that the government is doing the road from EWA to RIA. How is that a propaganda? How is that a propaganda that for EWA to realize being paved? How is that a propaganda that from Banga to Salaye is being paved? How is that a propaganda that from Ganda to Saklapi is being paved? From Ganda to Yekepa, is that a propaganda? This is not propaganda. He talked about the food prices. Who buys the food? These are the consumers. What do consumers use to buy food? They use their income. So if the FAO report says food prices decline, okay, and if you read that report, it says as a result of acceleration in local and domestic food like cassava, okay, because of the government intervention in providing fertilizers and implements to our farmers. Read the report. The report is there, and he says it is a propaganda. I think the propaganda here is when Duke says there are no roads being done, when it is evident, when the pictures are available, right? And Mr. Cummings plot on some of the roads. The last time he went Nimba, he was moving from Ghana to Saklapia under the road paid by George Weah. Okay? So it is not propaganda, the facts are there. But he wanted to abandon the facts and use, quote unquote, a 2 days assessment in the country to show us a representation of what the situations are. That's just a piece of the part that I wanted to respond to. I know I've been cornered with time, but I would like you to do the facts check and probably we can move ahead.
Thank you so much.
Is it possible for me to provide low 20 seconds clarity?
No.
Duke.
I see vulnerability in our response, and I want to check it.
Guys, let's move on, please.
Do that. Let's move on.
Go ahead. That's fine. Yeah.
When you get to your next, when we get to the next point, maybe you can ask your question. But let's provide some facts to the Liberian people, because it's important for us to provide some facts, and the Liberian people will be the judges for this. Most recent reports from different, some of you got through Front Page Africa. You can also get it from different sources, not necessarily Front Page Africa. But this report came out April 12th, 2023. It was published. Partially it was published in Front Page Africa, part of it. You will see Jetty on the picture feeding the Liberian people. They talk about hunger rate of Liberia. I just want to talk about it. The Global Index provides, and this is what it's still. Let me just quote this part real quick. The report puts Liberia in a level of hunger that is serious within the rank of 113th out of the 121 countries that were assessed in 2022. Liberia has a score of 32.4 out of 100. According to the ranking metric, the hunger level in Liberia is still high. I want to clarify that part, but let's move on to other part I also want to provide clarity on, because this is critically important. Because our brother Johnson talked about the achievement of the government and this report and that report. Let's put it into context really, really quick. Let's put it into context, and then we will. Many of you have heard about the neonates. They normally provide different records. They are independent. The CDC-led government, when it came to power, they brought in a pillow, 5 pillows. They said these are promises that the government made. They had a different pillow. For example, pillow 1, power to the people. Under the pillow, power to the people, the Neomet did track down the document. They have 59 promises. You're listening. 5 of those promises were completed. Only 5 of them have been completed up to now. They have 59 of them. 20 of those 20 are still promised, quote unquote, they're ongoing, and 34 of those promises are yet to even be started. On a pillar 2, the economy and job. You're listening, the government promised 71. They made 71 promises. Now, 5 of those promises that the government made on the economy and job, 5 of them were completed. 28 of them are promised. They still promised them. 38 promises have not even started. But let's move on to the third pillar, the sustaining of peace. The government made on this, they made 10 promises. Now, the document available, 4 of those promises, 6 are yet to even get started. The last part of this is the 4th pillar, which is governance and transparency. There were 23 promises made. When we track the documents down, the documents that were made available to us, there were 12 promises ongoing, 11 promises have not been started, As of evidence, none of those promises honor governance and transparency have even started. So this is all for the record. You can also say, but let me come to our question in here to Mr. John.
No, but can we deal with some of those?
No,
but Mr. Sekou, it's important that we deal with some of those issues raised. Because some of the reports he highlighted are not law and gospel. Those reports have been challenged, especially the last report. The last, pardon?
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, just a second. If you know, like I said earlier, this is not our normal show. You said you're going to fact check both what Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, and you fact check everything Johnson said.
You want to check, you want to tell us, or you want to report on based on what Mr. Johnson said. Did you fact check things that Duke said as well?
Yes, because both the report.
Okay.
No, let me clarify it.
But Steve, everything you said about fact checking was information I provided.
No, hold on, let me talk. Please, guys, calm down. I did fact check both of them, considering in Duke's accession, Duke reported that some of the projects have not been started, such as the road and so forth. When we went into this particular conversation, in this fact checking, you will realize that the government started some. The government made promise on some, and some of the government have not even touched them. So it's a balanced fact report that fact check both men. The fact that they not
no, Steve, it's not being balanced. It's not being balanced. I can say some of the things that Luke said that were incorrect. I can say some of the things. But let's give some of the reports online.
Sekou.
Let's give some of the reports online.
Please listen.
Sekou.
The fact that you reference reports that are elevated is important that I respond.
James, there's a difference between propaganda and reality.
No. The fact that Steve,
you want to talk.
I will have to mute both of you. Sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But if both of you cannot listen to us, who are conducting the show, then we have a serious communication problem. So please listen to us. Please
unmute them. Unmute them. Let's this.
The show has to be balanced.
Listen, Steve. I'm gonna say this again.
Yes.
If you went to fact check, you were supposed to fact check two people, and when you come, you outline fact checking things that Mr. Johnson says. You should have directly also, whether or not.
In other words, Duke said everything correct.
Everything Duke said. If they are true, you based on your fact check, you say it. But if you just leave it like that after fact checking what Mr. Johnson says, it will not sound right. It will not sound.
Mr. Carter, it is right because it is right.
Fact checks are wrong. I want to challenge his fact checking.
Johnson, please.
No, I want to challenge the fact checking.
Johnson, please listen. Please listen.
Shouldn't this be an exchange of ideas?
This show is not a one-person show. This man
cannot keep... something I want to address it. Listen.
No.
We don't listen. Please calm down. Listen. When you throw numbers out, when you never threw numbers out.
I'm not delved into numbers here.
Listen. You will listen. You will listen, Johnson. And Duke will listen. I don't do that. You're talking over people. I don't do well with that. So listen. When you throw numbers out, Mr. Kane, the reason.
Don't meet them. Don't meet
them.
But
we can't be over talking over each other.
Yeah,
and it's disruptive. It is disruptive. So you will either have to get a chance for me to speak, or I will mute him. It's clear.
Don't mute the people.
Mr. Kane,
they're all responsible. Tell them, just tell them to listen. They will listen.
They are not listening. They are not listening.
Nobody.
They're not listening. If they're not listening, I'm not going to have them over talking me. That's not how it runs. Because Johnson will not get a chance. When you want to speak, you can't be speaking without doing CDC talking point. I want to go back to what I said.
It's a debate. Steve, people are not going to agree. People all want to make their point.
Exactly, but people got to have time to speak. You can't be over speaking.
Unmute them, please.
But you don't fact checking. Should we respond?
Johnson, you have to listen. Listen to my statement. Let me get done, please.
Okay, let me listen to you.
Exactly. Calm down. Let me get done. So
I'm down. I'm relaxed.
Johnson throws out numbers. Anybody that throws out numbers here, we will fact check those numbers.
So let's go to the numbers that threw out.
And so the numbers that Johnson threw out here.
What did I say?
Quoting a different report. I said.
No, be specific. Be specific.
There we go again. There we go. Johnson, you have to listen to people.
Both Johnson and Duke, please, gentlemen.
Please listen, guys.
No,
Please.
but Sekou, you gotta give me credit. I haven't spoken. I've been quiet. Now, come on now. I haven't really said anything.
Listen.
You know.
Personally,
No, people not speak because
listen.
Second, my only point here is if a moderator for a show
Let me say something.
does a fact check.
Duke, I mean, Mr. Johnson, let me say this. I personally believe that both of you should be protected when you're speaking, but also believe that when we are speaking, you listen. We shouldn't be talking over each other, so the audience here will not enjoy the conversation, and they will not get with anything. Trust me, this is just the beginning. But let's try to be, be tolerant and listen to each other. Believe me, I want Mr. Johnson to come here, be happy to come again, and other citizens be happy to come again. I want Duke to be comfortable here. When he come here, he's allowed to make his point, and other people from the CPP will also be eager to come here. So let's just control ourselves. Let's not be interrupting each other. Let's listen to each other. And when the moderator is speaking, please just listen, and then you have a time to make your point. So again, Steve, I am not trying to throw you under the bus here, but I just being honest with you. That's why I personally, I will not fact check. This is not our normal show. When we invite people here to is Duke or anybody that will be here to be debating with each other, they will come and debunk and provide their version of the story to what is going on. The library people will be the judge. If we bring commies here, commies will come and bring and say something, we will fact check it, we'll push, we tell him, what we know. We'll bring your we are here. Anybody will bring here, we will. But once we bring people to to debate, if you still want to fact check, you gotta fact check both. And be specific to a specific area where you think the person said this one was right, the person said the other one was wrong, the person was. I'm not saying that you did not fact check, but you didn't give all your report on Duke separately. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Kane. And the only reason I didn't do that is because Duke did not, let's be honest, Duke did not throw out numbers. The man who threw out numbers to substantiate a point, once you start going to data and you start quoting sources and start doing that, then it's incumbent on us as a network to double check some of these things that you've said. And I've only provided contrary information to what the CDC have achieved, what the CDC has done, what they have not achieved on a numerical basis, on a percentage basis. That's it.
This is where I'm coming now. This information is not contrary.
Sekou, I think what I've tried to do on the show today was to exhibit some level of tolerance, right? And to strategically pick apart things. Trust me, if I wanted to yell here, this man would not have any conversation to arrive, right?
So are the only one not allowed to talk here?
Let's focus on the
okay, keep quiet then you can have the show.
The truthfully speaking.
My point here is, listen,
James,
my point here is,
James,
I do not have issues with
James.
So I do not have issues with the moderator intervening.
If we go back to the recording, right? And you compare the length of time that each of us have spoken, you will see that you've actually used more time than men. Truthfully speaking, you've been protected on the show. Honestly speaking,
availability. That's not my point.
No,
it is not my point.
Truthfully speaking,
no, it's not my point.
But Sekou, yes, here's the point here. I did not come here. I will
listen. I should be the one.
Let you make that point anyway.
I did not come on this show. Listen, I did not come on this show throwing around numbers. I do that all day. What I came here is to be practical, right? Truthful in my experience. The gentleman used, a bunch of fake practical numbers, right? And introducing the platform. And I believe SKTV is a platform that a lot of people pay attention to. So the host decided to fact check. Now, eventually, I was going to move in that direction, especially looking at the global hunger index, right? But I didn't. He did, right? So let's just establish that. So I would want us to move forward because I think there are a lot of important issues. Let the listener get what they're really here for. I'm all about the information. At the end of the day, they'll make the right decision in terms of who's really putting forth substance versus propaganda. That's what I'm trying to get to.
True. Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
So can I speak now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think we can move on to the next thing if Mr. Johnson is okay. Mr. Johnson, you okay for my next question?
Pardon?
Are you okay for me to bring my next question in, please?
No, you want to speak before.
No, I wouldn't care until. No, I wouldn't care. But do respond and give his feedback to your question. So I didn't get feedback.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Please go ahead. Go ahead, Johnson. We're having transmission problem with Johnson.
Well,
Johnson
it's his government. The government he defending can't give no stable internet connectivity, so he's struggling to stay on course because of the government.
Stop it, man.
No, but I mean it's the fact. You're saying all of the success story, but you know the poor internet connectivity.
But I'm here.
Yeah, Johnson,
Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Connectivity.
Go ahead,
your
Johnson.
light was flickering in the back too. That's the pro agenda.
do let him go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Johnson. Please go ahead.
Well, internet connectivity challenge has been a century problem. So that is not Josh Weah's making. So let's leave that. That's the triviality. And I understand why Ekumi's here. Why Ekumi's supporter will leave the heavy lifting issue and talk about internet break-in.
It's actually
I think that needs.
Go ahead.
Please, go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Dude, let me be protected, please, man. Please.
Mr. Johnson.
I agree. I threw out numbers, and I maintain the numbers are unimpeachable. I said the Liberian economy expanded by 4.8%. That's the World Bank's report. Steve did not tell me whether it was less than 4.8 or more than 4.8. I said inflation is currently at 7.6%. Steve did not bring a report that contradicted that inflation is not 7.6%. I also said, according to the FAO Hunger Food Index, Liberia is not among the worst 10 countries. Steve did not bring a report that contradicts that Liberia is not among the worst country. I stated statistics that the road network paved by 2018 was 745 kilometers. We moved it to 1,375 kilometers. Steve did not bring a report to contradict that. What he did, he brought a report from my friend Eddie Jawale, which I wanted to deal with. You cannot say the government made promises of 71 promises and only did it when we cannot look at those promises. Then you are presenting a vague and ambiguous report. So we have to look at the specificity. What were the issues the government promised? So that's what the point I was making. Okay? So when you say I threw out numbers that do not correlate with the facts, you have to bring numbers from sources that contradict. But all you did were, okay, Johnson threw out numbers, and yeah, I found out. I read numbers. What are the contradicting numbers from sources? If you have brought that, I would have had problem. But I feel troubled when Steve says the Liberian economy did not grow by 4.8%. I'm making all those numbers. I'm not. Read the World Bank latest 2022 or look. I'm not the one making a report that says food prices declined by 1.6%. I'm not. So we can go to the next batch of questions. I feel comfortable responding to them. I just want to deal particularly with the Eddie Jawale's report that said the government made promises. You cannot say, if you say I made promise, what was the promise? So that report remains vague and ambiguous until we deal with the particularity of the promise.
This is not individual show here because
okay.
You're not a moderator. I'm done. You're not a moderator. You want to be moderator?
Let's move on.
I'm done.
Both of
That's my feedback.
Both of you are providing your feedback. Let's move on. I think it's fair. Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Let's move on. And I like the point that Johnson made. Johnson, I like the fact that you laid out, delineated the three options the Liberian people had. Let me restate what you stated. Continuity. You said the Liberian people have the option of continuity. The Liberian people have the option of relapse, but they also have the option of uncertainty. And I'm paraphrasing what you said here just to summarize what you said. My question to you is continuity of what? Unresolved concerns or issues? Continuity of what? Economy. Listen. Continuity.
That's what I'm listening.
Continuity of what we just read from the Neonet report that I asserted here, where promises upon promise. So you made one promise, you made another promise on that same promise that you've already made. Continuity of what the ambassador reported to the world at large. continuity of the government not taking any actions into the most recent sanction 3 senior government officials, continuity into mysterious deaths, continuity into different news of either corruptions. We've seen most recently government agencies, people are protesting that they're not being paid. Just discombobulation and confusion of governance in the country. You also spoke of decision of relapse. Relapse of what? And then the last part, you spoke about uncertainty. Uncertainty of what? I just wanted a brief summary from you, 2 minutes, please. Then we're going to do.
I like it when the latter part of your question, doesn't consider subsets of uncertainty and relapse, but it does consider when it is about continuity. I like how the question is interestingly, placed to me. But let me tell you what, I think we want continuity of tuition free for public universities and colleges. When we had a situation where students were paying $4 per credit hour, and we have students paying $0 for credit hour, we want continuity of that. We want continuity when our young brothers and sisters who are paying $60 United States dollars for wax fee subscription are no more paying that. That's what we want continuity for. We want continuity when rural development continue to spur around the country. Imagine seeing what happens from Banga to Lofa. See what it does attracting. Am I protected?
Yes, please go ahead.
I don't know, your internet was breaking, but
you're breaking up. We couldn't hear you. That's why. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we want continuity of rural development being spread around the country. Seeing how the president is connecting country's capital, to those counties. See what is happening from Banga to Lofa. We've passed Salaye. We are going Vonjima and don't go Minikoma. See what is happening from Ganga to Lokatwo, the border. That is the continuity. See what is happening from Mandina to Robertsport. That is continuity. We want the continuity to see the RIA road completed. The president's, legacy project. We want continuity with more health infrastructures being built. With the one you see in Bapolu, in Riverside. We want continuity of doctor salaries being moved from $750 to $2,000. We want continuity of more doctors leaving the country to go abroad to specialize in radiology and other forms of specialized medical aspects. That's what we want continuity for. We want continuity when no radio station or television station are shut down arbitrarily. We want continuity for a Liberian president to roll back on criminal malevolence by passing a law that guarantees freedom of speech and freedom of the press. That's what we want continuity for. Okay? We want continuity to have a democracy where people can stay anywhere, anytime, say the worst and criticize the president. He goes to bed and doesn't wake up and send people to hunt. We want continuity where when there are deaths in the country, the government shows transparency by conducting autopsies that are left to not be scientifically debunked by its critics. That's what we want continuity for.
Okay.
So there are issues, there are challenges. We want continuity to reduce the cost of electricity further below 50 cents that we're talking from 35. We want continuity to create more access to electricity. We're talking from 24%, it's now 34%. That's what we want continuity for. We want continuity for more market structures to be built around the country so that our mothers and our sisters can sell their goods with dignity. That's what we want continuity for.
Thank you so much, Johnson.
If you ask the question of relapse, it's relapse to the bankruptcy of God. And then a president takes responsibility and say, you're leaving. We don't want a relapse to the extent where $13 million get vanished for EU funds to deal with army worms. And then the health minister cannot gain accountability. We don't want relapse to a situation where $5 million gets missing for finance ministry and the president say she takes responsibility and can put her neck on the chopping board. We don't want relapse where critical newspaper will be shut down by violent actions for ERU and PSU without using the court. That's what we don't want relapse for. We don't want relapse, okay, for our tax dollars to be used to feed a lucrative bureaucracy where millions of dollars are spent on gasoline and scratch cars instead of capital development and more investment. Oh.
Thank you. Let's get to the last one.
I don't do fees uncomfortable when I'm.
Let's get to uncertainty.
No,
I
no,
understand.
absolutely.
Okay.
You're making it.
You're
making it easier for You're making it easier because
let me deal with the uncertainty aspect.
If you want doctors to leave the country to go study radiology, you're exposing yourself here.
I beg you, because if you continue, then we'll have to. We have to
go
mute
ahead,
you.
go ahead, Steve. No, I was just saying.
I was just saying.
The men want doctors to leave the country to go study radiology, so that explains what we're dealing here with today.
I beg you, please. Go ahead. Let the man his statement. The man is protected. Let's give the man a chance. You have your opportunity, please.
Go ahead.
Let's not do the cross talking. Go ahead, please. Mr. Johnson. Sorry for the interruption. Go ahead, Chief.
Well, it's understandable why Duke will be uneasy. It's understandable. But let me say to you, no, but I was speaking and the man interrupted me. Guess what? There is a school in Liberia beyond Dougherty that provides specialization for our people. What you hear me talk about advanced study is just to complement domestic efforts taken. Yeah. So when we talk about uncertainty, we talk about uncertainty of a group of people who are the direct representation of the past, the darkest days of the past, being now the vehicle to engineer change, where a man will say that he will move the budget, the revenue, from where it is to 1 billion, without explaining intelligent economic policies to show how he's going to move the budget from 785 million to 1 billion. We will talk about uncertainty. We'll talk about uncertain as to whether a man who confessed during an interview of being struggling with certain lifestyle will not sign on to gay laws.
Okay.
Homosexual laws.
You see that? No. You see that?
I have to mute you. Your time will come. You have to debunk this. Your time will come. Go ahead. Unfortunately, I beg you.
Mr. Cummings is on record.
I think it just started now. I will start being professional and we'll go into the. Listen. It was Josh Weah who was a.
Your time will come. You will report this. Your time will come. You have a perfect opportunity to.
But still, every time Duke interrupts, it steals away my time.
Yeah, but you got 30 seconds. Let's go to it, please.
So we don't want to be uncertain as to whether this man will roll back our gains in protecting and preserving our culture and tradition when he admits to struggling with certain lifestyle. That is the uncertainty. When he brings a Louis Brown.
15 seconds and we'll pivot to Duke so that Duke can respond to these questions.
He's suffering from internet connectivity because the government cannot provide stable internet.
Please, Duke, we're coming to you. Let's give him a chance to finish his thought, please.
We'll wait for him. Let George reconnect his internet. I'm glad the people are watching.
The mega 15
we're giving 15 seconds, 20 seconds. He's frozen.
Let a lot of metal flow. Mr. Johnson, we are waiting for you. I see Mr. Connors smiling order today. That is it. But Duke, while we're waiting for Mr. Johnson, please be ready for your own time because you're next.
So Steve, while we wait, Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
I think moving forward, we will set a time clock when we allot people 2 minutes. Let it be 2 minutes. Whatever they can, if they can make good use of that 2 minutes, that will be fine. If they cannot, then they can.
So guys, there was something said on this platform that I don't need any time. I need to go right into. Okay. Yeah. And the gentleman there, you see.
No. Duke, whatever I'm saying moving forward, but what I'm saying here, whatever time Mr. Johnson used in articulating all the thing here, even to the point where he going to the famous talking point against Cummings, you will have time to respond to them.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're waiting for his government to restore internet service, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
just want to know. The government is so good at performing, and he's out of internet. So we're waiting for him to connect from Liberia. This is the proper agenda. So everything will bring forth in practicality. Let them watch. We're waiting for him to call from the greatest country on earth.
Why, Steve? While we wait for Mr. Johnson to come back, let me say this. I'm loving this particular edition of the big debate because it's just getting started. You will hear things that you don't want to hear. You will hear things that will get under your skin. You will hear things that will really, really, really move you. But at the end of the day, you have the opportunity.
Are we still waiting for this guy to connect? Because me, I
Yeah,
ready to offload.
you want
Go
to be
ahead.
speaking? You
Okay.
want to be speaking? Why
So let me say this. First and foremost, I'm glad that the Liberian people are witnessing the ineptitude of George Weah. Here is somebody who's paid to be a puppet for the administration that does not have the experience. I'm not sure that young man's actually held a stable career in his own life, but I
Don't be
will discuss
personal.
that a little bit.
Don't be
we have to say that. It's
No,
not
but I
personal.
don't
It's
want you to be
no.
personal. Just
Steve,
speak to the
no,
issue.
Sekou, no.
Speak to the
no.
issue, Duke.
No, I'm speaking to the issue.
Yeah, I
When
want
you're
to be
talking,
attacking
no, Sekou. When you're talking about the economy, when you're talking about things that are being impactful, we need to know on what ground, what foundation are you speaking about these issues, right? So that's why I'm pushing it. First and foremost, let's talk about lifestyle. It was Josh Weah who was molesting Lone Star players, right? When he was on Lone Star. We had accusations, allegedly, that Josh Weah was sleeping with the likes of Prince Day. We know for a fact there's been accusations that the president engaged in molestation of young boys across the country. You want to talk about lifestyle? This president has been at the forefront before Mr. Cummings came into the spotlight when it comes to the presidency or politics. Josh Weah was the face of molestation of young boys in that country. And you want to go there? You want to talk about strong molester? Let's talk about young girls that's getting abused and molested by the president. I think we should start from there. But for somebody who does not even have stable internet connectivity, that's glorifying this government. You claim that your government is so excellent, the president is doing well, that the numbers show that they're trending in the right direction, but we're on here. It's been about almost 15 minutes since he dropped off. And he cannot reconnect because the internet connectivity in the country is terrible. These are depressing issues we're talking about. Let's talk about the issue of food that he threw around here. You want to tell people food prices drop? Let's go back to the Global Hunger Index, Steve. In 2022, Liberia ranks 113 out of 121 countries, meaning that the hunger condition in that country is a serious issue. You want to talk about economic success? Let's look at the issue to national security. The disadvantaged young people in that country. You know what created that? Lack of economic progress. Because all this government is a corrupt institution, as validated by the U.S. ambassador in Liberia. Read the report. But these people think that Liberia is a propaganda a country wherein all of the things that they say are only based on illusion. You come here and try to paint the country as if it is a successful country. When we were on ground, the people in Liberia know what they're struggling with, what they're going through. You got the aide to the president, Sekou, sitting there and lauding the lies and the deception. Road connectivity, I drove on those roads. The country is in a deplorable state, and nobody can hide that. And this is why the government will be defeated. Back to the private sector. Since they want to focus on the unnecessary stuff, we will focus on the necessary stuff. This government, since taking over from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, what jobs have they created? Because we measured all of the economic success, the numbers that you're putting forth, based upon the results in the private sector. I want you to tell me how many jobs did George Weah create since becoming president of the Republic of Liberia? Because these are the issues that determine actual economic success. You cannot tell me how many jobs your government created. You cannot say today, specifically speaking, that when CDC took over for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, they created 1,000 jobs in the private sector. Today, they're worse than the Ellen administration. Today, there are more Liberians employed in government than the private sector. Today, more young people are unemployed in our country than the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. Today, George Weah is more corrupt. These people stole $16 billion. When the report was submitted, we have not gone to the extent, the details built based upon the recommendations in the core report. The Minister of Finance conducted a bogus mop-up exercise outside of the structure. And today, we don't even know what happened to those monies. People are flying around in that country. You want to talk about free education? Are you kidding? Free education where? Free education where? Who is it impacting? The education you've provided, how is that education being converted into actual jobs in the private sector? A government that cannot create a functional private sector is a laughing stock. And this is why the country is in complete disarray. So since he's here, let me address again the issue of struggling with lifestyle. My young man, George Weah molested players on the Lone Star, allegedly. This president has been at the forefront of molestation of young men in that country. And you want to talk about somebody struggling with lifestyle? Your government continues to be at the face of the corruption, the distortion of young people, to the point where you've turned young Liberians into zombies. Your government have created a country wherein Liberia is not a drug-infested country. Some of your government officials are partners with these individuals that flooding the country with drugs. And you have the audacity to come here and talk about people's sexuality when your president has been at the forefront of it. Let's focus on the issue. The truth here is today you are pushing propaganda because George Weah hasn't amounted to what you believe he was going to turn into. That George Weah's government is not even successful than the Ellen Johnson administration. You've poorly performed as an institution. Fact check it. Ellen Johnson, her last administration, performed way better than the Weah administration. Today, we're talking about removing this president because the truth is George Weah has been nothing but a complete disaster, and it shows across the country. These young men will only come here and push propaganda because of the Lord nickel and dime that they will get. But the harsh reality is when you go at the hospitals, I was at Redemption Hospital. I had to beg the people and pay them to clean up the mess there because, even though we are on different political sides, I will not allow that kind of filth at the hospital to appear on live national radio or TV or internet so people can see and find something to criticize. Your hospitals are broken. Okay? Those are the president's issue. And then you make recommendations talking about doctors need to leave the country and go study radiology. Who's teaching you that? Is that even logical? Go ahead, Kusiku.
Thank you so much.
So Steve, I just want to say something. And let me say this to our audience. And I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to say right now. From the start of this debate, I was enjoying the debate. And I admire the eloquence of both Mr. James Johnson and Duke. But let me tell you this. If we're going to change Liberia, this generation, we are the one to change this country, and we have to do things differently, which is when we are making the case, let's make the case on tangibles, on facts, on things that matter to the Liberian people, but not on falsehood. I'm disappointed in both of you to some extent. I'm disappointed for the fact that Mr. Johnson, after articulating all the good things, for him to come and mention this whole issue of lifestyle, something that him knows that is nothing, is a lie. He knows that Mr. Cummings is married.
No.
Listen.
I can send you the recording.
Listen.
Where Mr. Cummings had an interview.
Hey, listen to me. Listen to me. Maybe I know better about that recording more than you. Okay. That recording.
Okay. So he said that, right?
That recording you're talking about. I listened to the interview done by Mamadi Jakite. That recording, the one that is going around, is not the actual original recording. That is the edited version of the record of the something. What was
Has the
originally
ANC put up the
Mama, listen to me.
Did George
version?
Weah put up a statement that he molested
Has the
Lone Star
ANC
players? Did George Weah put up a
has the
statement that he
ANC debunked that
molested Lone Star
recording by
players?
putting on
James,
Don't
did
on?
George Weah
The
put
ANC
a
hasn't
statement
debunked.
that he molested Lone Star
Yeah,
players?
yes. The ANC has not
Did George Weah
debunked.
put up a
You guys need to listen to
statement
me.
that he molested Lone Star
You guys need
players?
to listen to me.
Yes,
And
go ahead,
I think if the conversation goes
But
on,
there is no recording when
you have to
Mr.
listen
Weah
to me.
made. That is the point.
Mr. Johnson, you gotta listen to me. Mr.
Mr. Fana, go
Johnson,
ahead.
both of you gotta listen to me. And actually, I think when I was telling Steve not to mute anybody, I think I was wrong. I thought we are responsible adult intellectual here to have conversation, decent conversation. But if you're going to be interrupting me, then that's a problem. We know.
I'm sorry.
We know this whole idea of gay thing about comedy is a lie. It's a story created by somebody. The person who created the story came to tell the world how the story was created, that he lied to Mr. Cummings. He apologized to Mr. Cummings. That's one. Secondly, Mr. Cummings himself have come on this network, a different network, over and over to refute that notion. And we know that the man is a family man. The man married his wife for ages. But
Seko, you play the role, Duke. You play the role, Duke, in this conversation. And you trust him. You play the role, Duke, in this
give the man a
conversation.
chance, let him talk.
No, listen.
Give the man a chance, let him talk.
I'm talking about you now. I'm going to talk about Duke. You guys
Yeah, but yeah, Duke. The man's complimenting the effort, so you want me to get a chance.
Duke is not saying anything because Duke is muted. Because you guys, I'm not sure. I think if people are going to send people here on this platform to make the case, I think we need more mature people, to be honest with you. Because if you can't have a conversation without being interrupted, then that's a problem. Let me finish. When I land, you can say anything you want to say. You want to accuse me and say whatever you want to say. Let me talk. If you're not going to mention this gay thing, because I want us to have decent conversation. And I want to have mature and responsible people on this platform. We don't want to reduce this platform to to discussing non-issue and pettiness. Let me say this: that whole eating or that whole issue of guilt thing is a lie, is a fabrication. And Mr. Cummings came up numerous times to say it's nothing, it's not true. And we all know that Mr. Cummings is married to his wife for more than 50 years, or for whatever, for the 7 years I heard. And Mr. Cummings got children, and Matt said he is not. So for every time to refer to that particular thing, it means that people have nothing tangible against Mr. Cummings. That's what it means. So when you revert to that, it tells me that all the things you are saying is not enough to convince the brown people to vote for George Weah. That's why I said I'm disappointed in you, because you know it's a lie. Yeah. But listen, let me finish. You can't interrupt me.
But I don't know it's a lie. I don't know. I don't know it's a lie. I don't know that it's a lie.
Okay, I know it's a lie. Everybody knows it's a lie.
Okay.
Where
no, not everybody. Not the view.
Okay. Majority of the black people know it's a lie. Only citizens and unity party people who have problem with the community, got nothing else against him.
But you see now, but I think when you start making a kind of statement, then like being biased. I think you can do a general overview of what you think.
You gotta let me finish.
You can't be tagging you. No, you can't be tagging.
Listen, I'm dealing with you. I'm dealing with you. I'm going to do. I told you something disappointed in both of you, right? No, your portion. Okay. I'm giving you right now. Now I'm going to do.
All right.
So here's where I'm disappointed with Duke. You know, I know, and everybody know that this is just a talking point from people who have nothing against Cummings, but they want to make that a discussion. Because when it comes to policy issue, if you come here and this guy making here and articulate well the policy issue of George Weah, you try to debunk some of it. Steve tried to fact check some of it. But if the man revert to the same talking point that people know is a lie, you should not take the bait and go back for the same thing. You know George Weah is married. Nobody can clearly say for the fact that George Weah has sodomized anybody, that George Weah is gay. We all know that George Weah is a womanizer. People always accuse him of that. We know George Weah is not gay. Do we know George Weah, as far as we are concerned, and this platform is as far as I'm concerned, we will come here, we discuss policy, we discuss issues that matter to the Liberian people, that can change Liberian people's life. Are you going to say, Joe Weah did this to the person, Joe Weah did this, and you're taking the bait.
Sekou.
And throw the bait, and then you talk it. So I'm disappointed for the fact that what I expected from you, Duke, is that since they may have nothing, and reverting to this lies and talking point of the CDC, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to discuss the issue.
Yeah. So
then you go ahead and outline the issue. But there's no distinction between the two of you if you're doing the same thing.
Sekou, I think. Listen. I think I did something different here today because usually if I engage in the type of shouting that I wanted to, this show was not going to go forward. And even when things were being said, I have to exercise patience to let that, just go as it is before focus. And I told you when I came here with one goal, to focus on my experience and speak about practicality, and which I did, right? When I'm sitting on any platform and something atrocious in terms of propaganda is thrown, I'm sorry, I will respond to an encounter. And I have no regrets doing that. If we have to speak about the issues, we'll speak about the issues. And I did. People can come and throw propaganda around. I'm not a universal Liberia Palava Hot or militant Palava Hot stuff here. We don't do that because it doesn't get anything far. I think what we focused on was substance or quality of the information versus propaganda and reality. What this young man said about Mr. Cummings, I would not tolerate. I would not be professional or civil about it. And I will respond with the same thing. And truthfully speaking, before Mr. Cummings came in the political sphere, this particular political environment, that was the conversation that was being held about George Weah. I'm not lying. It was out there, right? But I didn't introduce that conversation. I only responded when it's been said that. But you're right. Let's talk about the issue. The truth here is, Sekou, we have a government that continues to poorly perform.
You responded. You had time.
Do not interrupt me, please.
No. Hello. It's important. It's important because when I spoke, you responded. So the gap another time is being compared to me.
The fact here is,
listen. I just spoke. Duke is responding to me. When Duke finishes, you can respond to me as well. I mean, why are you guys so intolerant, man? I don't know. You guys are not professional. To be honest, in a professional setting, always have your time. When you have your time, then you can say whatever you want to say. Duke is responding to what I said. When Duke finishes responding to me, you can respond to me as well. Oh my gosh.
Sekou, you mentioned that I needed to focus on the issue. I'm reiterating what I said. So I said that
Mr. Johnson will do finish.
Yeah, I only engaged in that part when he said
you can respond to me as well.
And I highlighted the fact that conversation about George has been out there. But I'm also saying this that I'm speaking about the issue. And I'm making reference, and I'm making reference, right, about where we are as a government, the state of the Liberian economy. The reality is no amount of propaganda is going to hide the true, right, happenings or the occurrences in Liberia. No level of propaganda is going to take away the fact that this government has been the most corrupt government in the history of mankind. No level of propaganda is going to deny the fact that Odell Sherman died in Liberia. No level of propaganda is going to hide the fact there's been questionable things in that country orchestrated by the government of Liberia, documented in paperwork submitted by international partners. There is no level of propaganda that's going to ignore the fact that there's been instances wherein journalists were brutalized by the current administration. And I think one of those journalists died in the custody of police, if you all can recall. There is no level of propaganda that's going to negate the fact that more young people are still unemployed in the Republic of Liberia. These are facts. A cooked up World Bank report being pushed by individuals who don't even know the difference between a checking and savings account does not give any level of credibility to the WIA administration. What I'm saying here today, Sekou, that I want us to continue to focus on the issue. I don't have time to be engaging in palaver politics. I'm a professional person, and when I speak on this issue, it comes from years of professionalism. I'm not here to dictate or have arguments with people who are still looking for ways to build their own professional career. The facts that we've laid here, right, they're evident. There are proof to those facts. The Liberian people are feeling the pinch of the fact, and the propaganda does not take away that our people are struggling economically in that country, and the proper development agenda has been nothing but a disaster, as you can see with the internet connectivity from the young man there that I keep talking about. You're defending the government, your internet is unstable. Okay, I go to Liberia with a 5G phone. It has to be dropped down to 3G because it cannot meet up with the technological standard. Here it is again. He's off the platform because he cannot maintain stable connectivity, stable electricity. And you're here trying to defend this government. This is a joke. These are the issues that I want to focus on. And I don't want to keep shouting. And I want to bring my own level of professionalism to this conversation.
Johnson, go ahead. Sekou is muted. Sekou, you are muted. Johnson, go ahead, please.
Okay, so interestingly, I understand how Duke, is interesting, interested in showboating in terms of personality. Okay, so maybe Duke needs to hear this. I'm an acclaimed academician and scholar. I graduated from one of the most acclaimed high schools in Liberia as the valedictorian. Okay, I graduated from the State University with honor. I'm doing my graduate program in public finance and budgeting. So when he talks about building professionalism, I understand the triviality. I'm not going to walk that lane with him. But let's get it. He talked about the policy issue. When Duke says Liberia is the most corrupt country in the history of mankind, and he says it is a fact, I expect Duke to be referencing which document, okay, says Liberia has been the most corrupt country in the history of mankind. So he flaps and throws these assertions that are unfounded, have no substance, and then he comes and says he has the professional pedigree, to position himself best in this kind of conversation. Which document ever said that? The last time we ever checked, John Molu was the one who was referring to the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration that he said performed better than the WIA administration as the most corrupt. Okay, that's the last time we checked. An authoritative source. He also said there have been deaths in Liberia. Where Duke is, he needs to tell me where people don't die in the world. Of course, there have been deaths in Liberia. But what a responsible administration does, it provides accountability and transparency. Duke needs to tell me which group of activists or institutions have refuted autopsy reports, scientifically that were done. So all of this noise making down the corridor, we understand that. If you say this person was killed by the government, you need to show what authoritative report have contradicted autopsy findings that was done by the government. Then he says it's a fact. He also said young people have been made more poor under the WIA's administration. What are the facts? What we know for fact is the WIA's administration has been the first administration to lay a clear roadmap for rehabilitating our disadvantaged brothers and sisters. Which government wrote up a policy document or begin to implement in terms of a methodological fine path of dealing with the issue of rehabilitating our brothers? Okay, it is the WIA-led administration. This government has rolled up the at-risk youth rehabilitation program, 1 million placed in the budget to address that. Substance removal, which is the first phase of the rehabilitation program, has commenced. The government launched an ambitious $100 million program with support from USAID and the World Bank to address the issue of youth unemployment and vulnerability. These are the facts. When I reference the report, Duke said, no, I'm using propaganda. But when he said Liberia is the most corrupt country in the history of America, I don't know which book in the US Duke ever read that in. But he comes to this kind of intelligent discourse and says that, preposterous and unfounded claims. Let's talk about the policy issue. We continue to maintain that the president is building roads around the country. When these roads are connected and electricity have greater access, right? We say Liberia is on the path of economic growth and development. He has not refuted these facts. He has not refuted that over 1,300 kilometers of roads have been paved as compared to what we met in 2018. He has not refuted the facts. He has not refuted the facts that the government has incentivized tertiary education by providing free tuition, which creates an avenue for savings for young people and our parents and sisters. He has not refuted that. He has not refuted that our economy is stronger than ever before because the World Bank continues to say Liberia economy is on the rightful trajectory. Ghana right here is fighting inflation at 50%. When we are tackling at 7.6%. He has not refuted. These are not propaganda. Okay? Right. What is a propaganda is when Mr. Kumi say he can remove the budget from 700 million to 1 billion. It does not provide a clear path to explain how he can jump our budget from 700 million to 1 billion. He talks about corruption. Corruption is walking naked in the corridors of the ANC. You heard when they had their Atara Sovereign rally, what happened? A member of the ANC stole the money. Today that case is in court. Where is it happening? It's happening in the ANC. Corruption is whining and dining right in the ANC. And you say, CDC, policy corruption in the opposition. And that is why it is concerning that with the type of government, corruption will not be in bed with the ANC.
Mr. Johnson, thank you so much. I think you have Duke.
Yes, sir.
You, I think when the man mentioned corruption in the ANC, you were tempted, and you got 1 minute to rebut that.
Yeah. So thank you. There are a bunch of things here that I want to poke holes to, quickly, so we can just move along. Yeah. So
we are about to take few calls from the audience.
Listen. There's a difference between propaganda and reality. When I talked about experience, I don't want to delve into education, but I'm talking about practical experience. There's a difference between practical experience and sitting in the classroom and reading textbook, right? So let's just get that clear. But let me say this. This gentleman here failed to realize that several auditors were murdered in that country. No accountability. The government that he claims provided some level of expertise to make determination for other happenings. To this date, we don't have any clarity in terms of that. Matter of fact, let's talk about Princess Cooper, the young lady that mysteriously died. Her family became tired of the process and they had to forcibly take her body and bury her. Another questionable occurrence that the government has not provided clarity to. Also, when, Sekou, there's a difference in talking about writing than implementing. You talk about your government's written all of these elaborate things about addressing, the disadvantaged youth and all of this. No government's done that. Where's the implementation? We're at the first term of this president, and you have the most amount of disadvantaged youth in the Republic of Liberia than at any point in time in our nation's history. So we're still waiting to implement. Are those the factual? Finally speaking, when I talked about practical experience versus theoretical, this young man continues to show that you are comparing an economy like Ghana versus Liberia and talking about inflation. Dude, you do not even have a private sector. You have not even created jobs in the country. Ghana's got jobs for its citizens. You don't have jobs in your country. The Ghanaian president is tackling corruption. Your president engages in corruption. Look, we go back to the $16 billion that was actually stolen. What became of it? We talk about the raw funds. What happened to those things? We talk about going into the donors account and taking money from there. What became of those things? Those are the facts. And there is a difference between propaganda versus reality. The truth here is this government is a disaster and they'll find it hard to defend things in terms of the realities.
Thank you. So, Mr. Johnson, if you have any rebuttal, I'll give you 30 seconds. If not, then I will go to the line. Do you have anything? Just 30 seconds.
It's proportional for a purported landman to say no country has a private sector. The government has 70,000 persons on the civil servant payroll. What happens to the over 500,000 persons employed in the country? What happened to? So, are you saying that Orange Liberia has nobody employed? Lone Star has nobody employed. Jetty has nobody employed. All of the companies in the country. So you can see how proportional he marks his ignorance when he said that the country has no private sector.
Don't be
I
personal.
don't know, no, but yes, it's only ignorance will make someone say there is no private sector.
No.
Who
I
says
can
that?
be ignorant. I'm the one here with the
Who
experience,
says that?
and you're the one
Okay,
who
let
is
me
the
deal.
political
Let me
one.
deal. Let me deal with it.
You have to do it, and similarly, don't do that.
You know,
No, but Segun,
Discuss the issue. No, don't do that.
Let me get to the issue. 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 When, listen, autopsies are scientifically conducted processes. Autopsies are scientifically conducted processes, right? Engineered by experts. So when experts in the field of autopsy conduct, autopsy and release findings, says those findings are made up, whereas there has been no scientific rebuttal. So 4 auditors were murdered. Where are the evidence that they were murdered? So you just loosely throw words. Murder is a legal term. So which jurisdiction of court determined that they were murdered? The autopsy report show that they died of carbon monoxide. He talked about the issue of implementation. Of course, the government has rolled out the at-risk youth project. So if he is familiar with the budget, he should go under the Ministry of Youth and Sport and check the line item that budgets for the issue of at-risk youth. And just in Kakata of this year, the president launched that initiative with the first 40 young people going through the phase of detoxification and no implementation.
Mr. Johnson, thank you so much, and Bro Duke, thank you so much. Let me tell you guys. If I tell you, I say I'm not enjoying the conversation, I'm laughing. and I'm learning. When I say I'm learning, it means that you guys are professional and well-articulate gentlemen. To be honest with you, if you manage the inventives, if you manage the little jab and little insult to each other here, which I will not tolerate on this platform.
Gotta make a show positive.
Yeah, if you manage that, you guys are doing a marvelous job. To be honest with you, and I would love to see both of you on here every time we're having this conversation. But I just want you guys to please stay professional, stick on the issue, disagree professionally, and stay argue on issue. Trust me, people are listening and they're enjoying it. Other people that may have some fear of coming here today, they are eager to come. They want to come to make their point. You guys doing very good thing for your party, for your people you're representing here. Trust me, they are happy with both of you. I'm getting feedbacks. But what I can tell you guys, let's try to remain professional and stick on the issue, so that tomorrow another CDC person will say, you know what, Johnson, you will come, or Johnson will be happy to come the next time. Same thing with Duke. Duke is always here. Duke always listening. Duke always follow. Duke always call. But to come here on a professional level, to come represent or to market your party or your people, or your candidate, is a different setting. So you just do the professional work. Try to see if you can win any minds here today or moving forward, please. So we're going to take a few calls, and then we will make some announcement, and then we'll call it a day. Let's take a few calls here. Let's see, the first caller here is 10601. Last 4 digits 6494. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, Sekou. How are you doing? This is Colin Padogo. I'm calling from the state of New Jersey.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the show. Sekou, I don't mean no disrespect to Mr. Johnson, but you're wasting your time. Why would you bring CDC Johnson on this beautiful platform? The 3 days phone call we had in Liberia, ask Johnson who took it from us. Sekou, go now to GFT. I got a girlfriend who just went for long problem. Sekou, do you know we have to take the girl through Ivory Coast because she cannot go by plane? Just afraid. They have to drive her to Ivory Coast to Ghana, and Ghana is treating her now, the charge of $5,000. Look at this brother. Tell him his neighbor how many people hit there today. Mr. Johnson, I mean, you got a better education, but you are in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think if they make you ambassador for Liberia, you will betray the Liberian people and you will serve an individual. Think about it. You are not doing good for your own country. You cannot compare Ghana with Liberia.
Thank you.
Ghana, by 10 o'clock in the night, people walking the street. Try it in Liberia. They don't have to say murder is a what they call when you kill someone, you kill someone. Even in America, they kill, but here the law follow. Even Ghana, they kill, but the law follow. Tell all this government, say they've been killing people. Say people been dying, right? Let me put in your term. Say people been dying. Let them come on and say, we caught this criminal today. All the death cases, they are all unsolved cases. But for Chimon today, he divided money. Say, I got a tape. I was saying, where in the shop, they divide money. The poor reject it. Say, we don't want what they call. Send me your last sequel. I'll see it's believe me, so you must see it. Brother Duke, you're wasting your time by the invitation of
So the number you just called, that number has a WhatsApp on it, so you can send whatever video you have or audio you have.
WhatsApp now as we speak to prove my point where the bully are the poor. We don't want let them go with the money. I will send it now.
All right, thank you.
My number. I will send it now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's go to the next caller. I think this is Ben here. Ben from Minnesota. Ben, the undercover CDC. Ben, how are you doing?
Yeah, I am doing good. First of all, before I can make my point, let the last caller let us not tell you who to invite or who not to invite. I think it is wrong because it is you who invited these people, so I think it would need to be respected. Because if you brought somebody here who is not respectable, that counts on your judgment. So I think you should have called out, right there. But let's go to the point. I think these two gentlemen are doing a good job, but I'm disappointed in USC today for the first time, and here is why. But I will give you guys a little leeway because this is the first episode. Just imagine if you guys had about 4 people participating today, it would have been chaotic. You guys could not control these two guys, and Mr. Johnson, even though you talk for Johnson was a little more way too much. I mean, kind of talk way too much. So if you guys can get 4 or 5 person on, use it as a learning process so that it can go smoothly the next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's take the caller here. Caller on the WhatsApp line. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. This is your man, AB, calling from Norway.
AB calling from Norway. Go ahead, AB.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, don't listen to the monitor. Don't listen to your phone and speak directly.
All right. I just want to say I'm very grateful for this debate that you have organized, but my disappointment is the way the guys engage in personal attacks. But thank you so much for my question to this Johnson guy.
Mm-hmm.
Since he said Mr. Cummings, ANC did not respond to the allegation, I want him to also tell me respond to the accusation that the American government made regarding the killings of the government. Why the government did not respond to it? And I also want to ask him what is his fear regarding this gay issue, because his government has signed the gay right in Gambia this year. What can you say to that?
All right. Thank you. So let's go to the line here. Caller here 980. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So what is your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
My name is Vasco Smo.
Vasco Smo, welcome, my brother.
Yeah, let me say thank you so much for this brilliant idea to bring young people on your show to discuss the issue. Yeah, this is a good platform, and we all follow the platform. I must
reason why I follow your show most often because at the same time you guys provide the issues and our personality. But what I'm observing in the studio right now, it was like if you bring two persons on your platform to debate, so it was Johnson against Duke, and you guys were stepping as moderators. So you guys, right? What was observing of the whole show was that you guys try to back off on Duke because Johnson was actually dealing with Duke, and Duke didn't have anything much to say. Duke was only providing information without any facts. He just said things he want to say, but this man was giving you information and telling you facts where the information coming from, giving you numbers from this big organization. But they were just saying, oh, the people suffering, the people this, the people that. Everywhere in the world, people suffering. So that's not please. If you're bringing anybody against Johnson, that person defend themselves, defend the party, or defend the candidate. You shouldn't serve as backup.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. So, let's go to the next caller here. Caller, what is your way calling from? System 5514.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm calling from Pennsylvania. My name is James.
James, go ahead.
Yeah, this is interesting. Well, let me tell Mr. Duke. Just yesterday, 8 people got killed. Got shot and killed right there in Texas, Dallas. Let me just tell you right now.
But why you let to come? No. Why you let to come? No, listen now. Why you let to come with fake name? Just call your real name and then make your point.
Listen. Let me put the issue through.
My man, yeah, no, I don't like that. It doesn't matter who you are. We accept everybody on the platform. That's not who you are. I know who you are, but you can't come and give a fake name. So everything you're gonna say, it's not gonna be, you're not gonna sound credible if you can't even be man enough to call your real name. Yeah, but you gotta be honest with yourself. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, 8 people got shot and killed in Dallas yesterday in Texas. You know how many people get killed every day in Philadelphia? Killings everywhere. So another point, you're talking about food prices? Everybody lives in America, we know. Now you go to the store, go to a grocery store and see how much for a carton of eggs. How much we used to buy eggs before? You can tell me right now, eggs prices stay the same. So food prices are everywhere, going up. Things are going up high everywhere. So if you guys sit here and try to picture your Liberia is the baddest country in the world, everybody's suffering, everything's bad, that's not true. That's not true. And you know very well, if you say you just came from Liberia, you know very well the government is doing a lot of work on these different rules. And
Thank you.
Thank you,
my brother.
So don't sit here and say, oh, they're killing you every time.
Bro, thank you.
Yesterday.
Thank you so much. When I tell somebody thank you, it means that your time is up. We gotta leave it there. So we're not taking 2 more calls. People that are on the line already. Our 401 number, last 4 digit is 7831. What is your name and where you calling from?
Good afternoon, Speaker. Good afternoon to Duke and James Johnson. The discussion has been very great. I want to extol personally Duke for presenting facts to the table and holding the CDC government accountable for mismanagement and issues. It is emphatically clear that the rule of law under the Georgia government has been toast by the president. We are not saying that crimes should not happen in countries. But what a responsible government does is that when crimes occur, they do investigate and hold people who are culpable accountable and ensure that they bring closure to families and the society in general. The CDC government has not been able to solve any mysterious death since she took over the governance of our country. How can you now suggest to us that you are performing so well in terms of rule of law simply because you brought a autopsy report or pathologist to conduct autopsy and nothing came out of it? It's not about conducting autopsy, it is about ensuring that there is justice and people are held accountable for those murders. Joshua has failed miserably, and that's why you see James Johnson struggling, with our success to defend the government's performance. But I like how Duke has held his court and keep holding the government's feet to the fire. Thanks for the discussion this evening. It's stimulating.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we're not going to be able to take all the calls. There are a lot of calls coming. We are the last question. 763 number. I mean, the calls that are coming in is too much, so we can't handle it. So we'll just take the last one right here. The last code DJ is 8002. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, Sekou. My name is James Walls, calling from Minnesota. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the great topic today. I want to say thanks to Johnson and Duke, great guys, they articulate very well. But you see, Sekou, I think I've been having an issue with most talk shows these days because the way sometimes the broadcast their show, sometimes it make we the audience feel somehow. I think for your show, I always follow, it's for the Liberians. It's not for a specific party. It's not a political entity or whatever. So I think you guys get balance from the beginning, but you guys got to make the audience to feel more confident in you guys as always. For tonight, I think Mr. Johnson, made some points, and Mr. Duke gives great points too. But both of them, like you said, has one or two mistakes. I think they corrected that by going attacking people personally. But I think what I want to say is this message that I've been pursued, everywhere, like people are suffering, Liberia, Liberia is the worst country, all those kind of rumors, all the kind of saying. It's not a rumor anyway, it's a fact. But I'm not disputing the fact. What I want to say is this. I want to say this, guys. Let's be real to the Liberian people when we come on the kind of media to give our agenda on our party. I expect to talk about the platform, to talk about Mr. Cummings, what he's going to do, or all this thing. Anyway, I won't tell him what to say, but that's what I expected. Mr. Johnson came, he did well. Mr. Johnson defended everything that came, and he even gave some of the instance what happened, what the government. But I was surprised for Mr. Cummings that want to get into the power. Georgia already became president. Even if you take Georgia there from today, he's in record. Like Mr. Cummings won't be president. So you're supposed to come and give some great information that we, the audience, will reason. What can you do differently? What can you do to change the system? Or what can you do to make the difference within Georgia government? But you cannot come on this platform and you be attacking and you be saying the government not doing this, the government not doing that.
Thank you. We're going to look at that. Yeah, thank you so much. So people, please stop calling now. I don't want to take any more call. I don't know. Uncle Pete, you're the last caller.
Okay. I think the fellow you got his name is Johnson, right?
Yeah, his name is Mr. James Johnson.
Mr.
James Johnson.
Your Uncle Pete, the man for all the copies. Mr. Johnson, people died all over the world. That is true. But when people die all over the world, they kill us, the perpetrators are being brought to justice. In Liberia, people killing people, suspicious killing, and the people are not being brought to justice. Like the auditors, like the chairman Chief Moses, like Princess, like the EPS officer. The list goes, Matthew Innes, the list goes on and on and on. The people, they are killing people in Liberia suspiciously, and nobody is being held liable for the killings. 1, 2, my brother, in the Liberia, people say, do you want to challenge the American government, the American people? America is telling us Liberia is corrupt. Our country is corrupt. Just last week, the ambassador traveled to the state, to the counties. They told us about the poor condition of the hospitals. Like, look, America told us that our government is corrupt. You citizens yourself, you didn't believe America. So what America did, they came and pick all the corrupt individuals we have in our country. That's why I'm and others. you people are challenging America. My son, my little nephew, let me tell you.
Uncle Pete, if you can conclude, please.
Yeah, let me conclude. You will sit it right there. I'm sure tonight, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or 9 o'clock, you'll be afraid to walk on Broad Street, see my road here. You'll be running home and barricade yourself. Don't come here and look at the see where they last time here too. And some of those people right there around some here too, they are sitting around George Weah. George Weah is my nephew. Don't stop bullying. But there is corrupt. Martin Kelly, no investigation. You cannot beat around it. Stop
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Folks, please stop calling now. I'm not going to take any more calls because we got to go. But yeah, there are a lot of calls coming in, and people want to talk about it. Next time we will open a little earlier. But let me say this before I give you guys just two minutes each to close. You listen to the callers. But I want to say this to both of you while people are here. Trust me, I enjoy the conversation. But I want us to conduct ourselves professionally as we did today, despite the few, which is expected. People get in their feelings sometimes. But this is the first time we have done this. And the reason why we did not set a time clock from the beginning, because you were just the two of you here. And we wanted you to have ample time to express yourself, to articulate the vision of your party and the work of your party, so that at least you have free time to talk. And you make good use of it. Unless the few areas where you try to throw personal attack on each other and stuff like that. If we manage that, I think this was excellent. And I want to say, next time we come, we're going to set time clock right here in my head. I'll be showing you to everybody. I'll be showing you to everybody when your time is up.
Sure.
We will take it down. And then we'll send it. And then when it comes to interrupting each other, please don't do it. Let me say this. There are people who will be uncomfortable today for CDC men. Most CDCs have shied away from this platform, thinking that it's an opposition platform. No, it's not opposition platform. This is Liberian people platform. Nobody can tell who to bring, who not to bring here. We bring everybody here. So anybody, doesn't matter where you're from, you have the right to come here. Let us know you want to come here. Which party you represent, we will bring you, including the government. If you don't have enough in your arsenal to debunk or refute some of the statement made by the CDC or CDC representative, that's on you. We are not responsible for that. That's why you should say your best. And I believe Duke did marvelous work today, as well as Mr. Johnson. So moving forward, let's just make sure we keep that professionalism. Mr. Johnson, I'll go to you first. 2 minutes. You can respond to some of the callers and your closing comment. But I want to say thank you for coming here today.
Well, let me also, extend my thanks and appreciation to the team, Sekou and Steve, for the invite. Let me also say thanks to Duke for sharing the platform. It was a wonderful conversation we had, and I agree with you that we missed out on some of the opportunities, but using argumentative ad hominem when we had to elevate the conversation. But I think my singular important feedback I got from the caller, a few of the callers, of the issue about crimes and resolving crimes. Let me say this. I think we need to be fair and bring honesty and objectivity when we come to the discourse. When somebody says that people are dying and the government does nothing to resolve these crimes against the facts, then I think objectivity is even brought to the discourse. I'll just give you a case with the issue of shallow moves on that, right? When the Lord Mayor of the city of Monrovia was wrongly aligned to that case, the opposition made the loudest noise on accountability. But you know what today? Because there are indications that the murderer of Shalom Muzu was from in the confinement of the former Chief Justice residence. The opposition are not clamoring today for justice because it is an opposition person who has been speculated to be responsible. But the government is pursuing, and the findings of the police will be out next week. So when you say auditors died and the government is not bringing book to book those who killed the auditors, then you must come and say XYZ killed the auditors. The report from the autopsy say these people died because of XYZ reason. An intelligent community or opposition who say no, we have unimpeachable reason to believe for a scientific background and perspective that these people did not die, from monoxide suffocation, but they were killed. And yet are reasons to believe that they were killed. The same thing, so it goes on. So there's a difference between government investigating versus what the opposition wants to believe. To tag government and makes the government to appear ugly within the eyes of the international community. But this government is committed to ensuring that accountability is brought and justice is brought to those who died. And in the case of, Princess, the late, may her soul rest in peace, if the funding says she died because of chronic tuberculosis, my friend wants to tie it to the government feet to say that somebody killed Princess. We have to be honest with ourselves. And like someone said, it takes sometimes 40 to 60 years before crimes are resolved in America. But I get closer to say Liberia is on the right trajectory, and Liberians should make the critical and sound decision of content to ensure that continuity is the decision and not relapse to the past of uncertainty. It was great exchanging with Duke. It was a pleasure being on SKTV.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your being here. Mr. Duke.
Continuity. Sekou, let me begin with this before I go into my closing. Significant human rights issues included credible reports of unlawful or arbitrary killings, including extrajudicial killings, cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment or punishment by the government. This particular report captures 2 incidents as well, where police killed unarmed civilians. It also documents wherein government officials engage in the whipping of Liberian citizens. And it also talks about widespread torture by state actors. This is the United States government, the United States Department latest human rights report that captures the performance of the Weah administration. Propaganda versus reality. Propaganda leads you to spewing things that are absolutely untrue in defense of a government that is documented on the international scene as being not only corrupt, engaging in extrajudicial killings, and also maltreating its people. Sekou, today, I think what we witness is what we've stated all along, that those who support the president do not have anything credible to defend in terms of this government. All they've relied on are propaganda, stories that are untrue, while the Liberian people continue to face the harsh realities of now. But change is going to come, because after the election, Mr. Kami is going to do what he has promised the Liberian people. On the issue of the private sector, Sekou, we're going to make sure that we usher in the most aggressive private sector reform. Our financial sector will make sure that we're changing it and making sure that it is meeting the global standard when it comes to the technological aspect as well. We want to make sure that Liberians are not the drivers of the economy. So in terms of the private sector, Mr. Kami is going to make sure that small business owners in Liberia will be able to have access to the banking sector, making sure that they expand the businesses as well. In the end, Sekou, there's one decision the Liberian people have to make. Is Liberia better than it is now than 2017? The question here is no. George Weah failed the Liberian people. He became worse than Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The CDC administration is nothing but disastrous leadership. And come October, the Liberian people will do the right thing by electing Mr. Alexander Cummings as the next president of the Republic of Liberia. I want to say thanks for the opportunity for being on the show here today. I wish that we, had gone a little further into the issues. Hopefully, we'll be back to discuss that, because I think they're pertinent issues that we can shine the spotlight on. But I'm excited about the future of this platform and this new show as well. And trust me, I'll be back here with more punches against the government, highlighting all of the failures and all of these things that the Liberian people need to know going forward. James, it was a pleasure sharing this stage with you. My only suggestion, my young man, is that start supporting the government that engages in atrocities. But hopefully we'll connect another time. Thank you.
So thank you to both of you. I want to say this in this public manner. I want to thank you guys for showing up. And besides, we're going to have this conversation every Sunday. However, if you guys, any of you, see the need to come on SKTV to discuss or given issue at any given time, reach out to Steve. He controls the programming and the scheduling and everything. We'll be more than happy to bring you on. If you have anything at any given time you want to come to discuss on SKTV, let us know. But this debate, the big debate, they start. I'm loving it. And I appreciate you guys. Steve?
Well, Mr. Kane, thank you so much. Thanks to the gentlemen who were here to make the case. We look forward to different conversations tomorrow. In other news, just so you are aware, tomorrow will be on, by the grace of God. A lot of things will be
man, we are not taking your light, though.
A lot of things will be unfolding.
Agenda.
A lot of things will be unfolding as we go through the week. We're told that the ANC, CPP, and Liberty Party would be selecting / presenting their running mate on the 13th, which is this coming Friday. We are also informed that there is a big news coming from the Henry Costa camp, the COP camp. There's a big news coming up. They're contemplating on Mr. Henry Costa running for the presidency. So a lot of political news, a lot of things are going to be happening. The Liberty Party will be speaking. We are told that the Liberty Party will be speaking very soon. But hey, these are things that we'll be considering. But we're still looking for the president. I was looking for the president in England yesterday and the day before. Yesterday especially, I didn't see the president. So anybody who sees the president should let me know. Please send me a picture. Now, what president you're like it or not?
You don't want to be active, man. Don't be federal boss, please.
I can't open
stop talking. My man, what happened to LEC? You gone?
Okay, gentlemen, my people, you're sorry.
Go ahead, man.
My boy, I'm sorry. I saw our president was sitting in front row seat. Yeah,
your man second in air condition, my man. With electricity, he got you over there, my man.
Anyways, folks, thank you so much. We will be
leave president attack. You were crying, baby, when I punch you. Leave president attack. You were crying, baby.
No, we're not revisiting those situations. We'll see you tomorrow.
No, my man, I am telling you to feel comfortable in the poor performance of your government, my man.
My people, thank you. Sekou, take it back, please, and you can close us, please.
All right. So, folks, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sorry. It's okay.
The man, y'all want to
go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I was just telling you to enjoy the candles in Liberia because there's no LEC.
But do close that. You let do say so that I will say sorry.
Say something.
So that's what I do.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
But anyways, folks, it was a good time here with our friends, our brothers. You know, it was a good time. And hey, Mr. Khan, a lot of things happening. A lot of information are coming through.
I saw you are officially someone to come home right after the show.
Yes.
Yeah, because we got a lot of notes to compare right now.
Yes. You know what? I wanted to do something, but I will put it on hold and show it now.
For everything on hold right now, can I talk first?
Yeah, for security reasons, I'll be there right now.
But you know what? Kudos to our audience, man. We tell them thank you. They always there, no matter what. They always they're the best. Yeah, they're the best.
My people, I gotta go. Sekou, I come here. I getting a call here from my auntie.
Okay. All right, folks.
Sekou, take it.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We will be here tomorrow. somebody who see more who's talking about we're gonna go maybe that gossip. She will be the first person hanging on my line right now and or Steve line to for G's. See I don't want to come out of people that they like G's too much G's people there. She don't want to be calling just and say, oh Sekou, yeah, please. Yeah, tell me please what's going on again? Yeah. But I'm not gonna say anything. If I see you on my line calling asking for G's, when I finish slap you on the phone, eh? When I finish slap you on the phone from here all the way to, I'll slap you while I'm staying here. But yes, it was a great show, and thank you guys so much for sharing the show. Everybody, we love you. Wait, let me see. Wait. Let me see something. I don't want to go. Okay, I want to make sure because we didn't talk about money, and sometimes I didn't check anything. I want to make sure when somebody send money, I'll be able to tell them thank you. But yes, no, I say anything about. I want to make sure. I don't want to like, oh, so cool, we did this. You know, I even say anything. Yeah, but I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything that you do to support SKTV. Yeah. Tiola, don't call me. Don't call Steve. All the thing we're going to talk about, you're not here. You. Maybe the only person I was sorry for is small on the roof. You got roof bar, you can behave. But you a mod, they got problem. So that we'll see you. We'll be here tomorrow. We got a lot of information that we'll be providing to you tomorrow. Oh, this time I play. I'm gonna show this time I play again. The politics and for fun, the music for Bosede. The way I saw that girl called more dancing on Facebook. You would think that she left the party. Oh, really embracing the Nyombli thing. I hope it will work, but the way the ANC women are embracing the Nyombli thing, enough for fun. When you see the girl dancing, you will say she's from Basel. You will say that the party, person. She was dancing. Someone was asking me who the girl. What's he dancing for? What's he happy for? I said, I don't know. Nyombli story. That will play Nyombli story again. You see how the people looking? That girl dancing. Just say no dancing for tomorrow. I can't believe it. I don't watch that video. Maybe I don't want to making a video on that video play it because I was laughing, and I kept watching the video over and over. Nyombli for nine out. All the NC people there, they really happy for the Nyombli thing. You better hope it work out. The announcement they're going to make tomorrow or Tuesday. That will be good for you people. Other than that, all that dancing, video will not be like a JLB and Costa team. I hope that will not be the case. Yeah, but I forgot that music I sort of play. That dancing while that girl was dancing for Nyombli. I will play it tomorrow. I will play that video here tomorrow. You will see how she can dance. Just for hearing a little, Nyombli possibly will come to the CPP. She started dancing. Then when Nyombli come, I don't know what you will do. I tell you what I guess. Yeah, my good people in here. People who can give me, trouble. They're here. I love you guys. People the one that can give me trouble, and I love you too much. But I love you too. But not too much.